Hello, everybody. Alright. So we're talking to Brittany Simon in a second. And we're talking about my new video. Your narcissist boyfriend abused me too. And I made a reference to destiny in that. And I knew that would trigger her a little bit. She watched it on her stream. I watched a bit of that. And she also wants to talk about mrgirl. And we can use these two people as examples to talk about narcissism. Maybe talk about my experience. Talk about the first time I talked to her and the difference. You'll get there. And I'm gonna be calling her in about right now about. Let's see.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Bien.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Are you streaming? Because I'm technically streaming.
I'm streaming, yeah.
Wait, I can't fucking hear you. Discord is always changing my settings. Is it me? I can see you. It could be me. Hold on.
Okay. It's okay, because I just gotta...
I'm so far away. Second.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P.
I will figure this tech shit
Q,
out.
R,
It's
S,
definitely me.
T,
Discord's always doing
U,
this, so...
Z.
Can you talk?
A, B, C, D, E, F, G,
Fuck.
H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Q, R, S,
Hold on.
T,
Yes, earphone is in my
U, V.
ear. I'm not stupid.
Maybe it's me.
Okay. Hold on.
No,
I'm gonna get this to work. I'm gonna get it to work. Let me go to my settings. Voice activation. Oh my god, they're not even giving me. They're giving me less options than normal. Wait, that's so weird. You know what? Dr. K had issues with Discord earlier, and I swear I'm having the same issue now.
It's bad.
Hold on, let me get out of Discord and I'll come back.
Okay.
Hold on. BRB.
Okay. Who's that? Who's that sexy guy over there? My audio's doubled? But it's not doubled anymore. Oh, I see what it is. Well, now I fixed it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm in the call with Smith.
Yeah,
For some
you are.
reason, preemptively
Hello?
here, maybe later.
Hello?
Okay.
Hello?
It's weird. It's like my
Hello?
output device is only giving me 2 options when normally it gives me much more than that. And for some reason, it's not accepting your output device.
Hello?
I'm too boomer.
Hello?
Okay, so my
Hello?
There you are. Hi.
Wait, do you hear me now? Wait, hello, do you hear me now?
Oh, I don't hear you now.
Oh my god, it's okay, this is my fault. So sorry about that. I don't know what it was. I just restarted my computer, but my defaults are now different, I guess. Sorry about that.
No problem. Honestly, I've been having like so many weird problems with the
Discord
default settings changing.
Yeah, Discord is really bad with that. Anyway, we were going to talk about your narcissistic boyfriend abused me too. I'm really proud about that title. Yeah, because if you want to talk about like abuse, if you're like a guy, you have to like nest it in like a woman, sort of. You know, kind. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Do you feel like that is something you're gonna do moving forward, like to get
Well,
your point across? Just are you saying that men just don't get the representation?
people just don't care about men as much. And
Do you think men care about themselves?
no,
Do you
not
think
as
that's
much as
probably
they
why people
should.
don't care about them?
Probably, yeah.
Like I feel like we're all like society's a reflection of us. So if men don't put the effort to care about themselves, like nobody else will. And that's how women have been dealing with it and like minorities their whole lives. Why do you think men are so slow to figure that out?
I think it's a cycle. Okay, I think the way you're framing this. Okay, you're really like the way you're framing this is putting it all on the men, but I see a lot of these gender dynamics as cyclical. So I think that a lot of the things that men complain about women are partly caused by how they treat women, and a lot of the things that women complain about men are partly caused by how they treat men, and it's a cycle, and it keeps perpetuating itself back and forth, back and forth. So I think men are like partially like men don't want to be vulnerable, but also women don't want them to be vulnerable. But that's also because they have no experience with men being vulnerable. And if only men would do it,
Right.
but then it would put them at like the way things are is always going to be the easiest way to go. Like the red pillars are right, that like their prescription is like, if you want to game not all of their stuff, but like in general, their prescription is like, this is how things are, so deal with it. And like, but then you don't have to do that. I think, you know, I obviously don't agree with that, but yeah.
So, okay, there's so much we could say about that, but I don't want to derail us too far from your video.
The
Go
first
ahead,
time I
tell me.
talked to you,
Mm-hmm.
you gave me a lot of criticism. This is like one of the first times I streamed, and I kind of just like shut down, I think. And I got like quiet and stuff. And I think that this video is a good illustration of like why that is and like how I've like grown as a person, because I was just coming out of that relationship. And I like, so anybody with a strong personality, I would just kind of like crumple.
That makes sense to me, actually. I didn't realize that's where you were at the time. Did you were you off put by me, or were you
No,
like did you see me as like the enemy?
I mean, actually, like after that I did, but like just because I don't know, I was angry. I was angry at you because I didn't stand up for myself.
Yeah. What would you have done different if you did stand up for yourself?
I don't know. Like it could have been anything. I probably would have fucking had something to fucking say. I don't, is swearing okay on your stream, by the way?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it okay on yours?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
So I knew that this would kind of like trigger you, the little reference to Destiny. And then I saw you talking about mrgirl, and these are good examples. I think that we generally have a different way we're using the word narcissist, and I put it in my description. I put a disclaimer, like a legal one, like nobody can, I don't want people to use the video to diagnose people with narcissism, but also I don't you seem to care, and it's fine, it's not, no disrespect, you seem to care a lot more than me about the diagnosis itself. And I believe that a personality disorder diagnosis is, for the most part, mostly useful for people who are victims of other people, because I think that there's not a lot of good it does to give the actual like to give someone who is a narcissist a diagnosis as much as it is to give someone they've abused the diagnosis of the person that did it.
Yeah.
So
I can see that.
I'm a behaviorist in that way. So I can see what you might be saying about Destiny, and especially you've actually met him. But like the person, my friend that I was talking about in my video, he despised Destiny. But he despised him in a very unique way, where it was like, it was Destiny was like the manifestation of all his insecurities about himself. Like nobody should ever be such a wretched person as Destiny. I heard that he did this. I heard that he did this, and I'd be like, you do that. You're just like him.
Interesting.
And so that is why I might have a bias in that. I'm afraid of Destiny.
In what way?
Not like as a person, like a human being. He's not scary, but as like a streamer, because I see something happen, which I think Mr. Girl was pointing out, but he didn't do a very good job. But like people will go on Destiny's. The fact that Destiny chose Mr. Girl and brought him on is kind of a example of this, because Mr. Girl he rose to that occasion, but he could have failed and burned so hard. He's the pedo guy. He could have looked so bad. And I think that Destiny doesn't really care about that. He saw the content and he doesn't care about the harm that he could have done to the person. And I think that he does that a lot, especially with young women.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? I want to two things before I forget. The first thing you said before you said that, I've met certain people who I know who like hate Destiny. It's because they see themselves in him 100%. And a lot of them had like narcissistic parents. And I wonder if Steven had narcissistic parents or just somebody in his life or something like that. Sure. Okay, fine. Maybe. They're obviously trauma. Like that's not debatable. But it makes me wonder if people know when they hate someone so much, if it's just because they're seeing themselves in them. You know what I mean? So that's a big part of it. And then two, on what you just said there, I think without a doubt, Max was correct that something was inappropriate, but it wasn't to the extent Max kept saying it was, which made me wonder why he kept seeing things that weren't there. There's plenty there to criticize. I don't know why he amplified it though. And that's always my concern is like people can be bad without being the worst. Or
he did it to you too.
Like,
Max did it to you. Max did it to you too.
Yeah, he did it to me too. He did it to me too, and I just didn't understand like why do you do that? And so it makes me wonder like how much of Max's stories are true? Like did his mom really try to sexually assault him? Did she really kick him out of the house because she wanted to sleep with him? Because that could make a lot of sense for the reason he does things. But yeah, he villainizes people to such an extent that it just like Destiny is only scary if you like see him as somebody who's powerful in your life. Like you know what I mean? And Mr. Girl's only scary. Like the thing is like I don't give Destiny power like that because Steven is just like a person to me. But I could see why his orbiters or orbiters in quotation marks are people who are reliant on him for money, why that might be scary to them. And I think in that case, there's like blurred lines that he doesn't understand because he controls like this audience that's like really, you know, I can see the power dynamics there. I just don't think Steven as an individual is actually aware of any of that. I think he is. I don't think he's smart enough. Like I'm gonna be real. Like I just don't think he's self-aware enough.
Maybe, but I one event sticks in my mind, and I hope you don't mind. Like we're like criticizing like Destiny, and you have like a tenuous relationship with him. So if that makes you uncomfortable, that's okay with me. I can not do that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll let you know if it crosses like some boundaries or something.
Okay. I remember after Destiny was saying that Max is a rapist. Because like of his video. And
yeah, I remember the video. I've seen it.
Yeah. And Our Relevant was Our Relevant and Wicked Supreme were arguing with him on his stream after that about well, this doesn't actually mean he's like a rapist. Like you could say he could be, but it doesn't like prove that he's a rapist. And he was like adamant and just kept like shutting them down. And then I remember Relly was like he just was like a stick in the mud, and he was like just trying to like was like pleading for like Destiny, like give him like a little ground because he like had like a foot to stand on. And Destiny was like, you're like on like thin ice, like your orbiter stocks are tanking. And then Relly was like, I guess, and then he kind of conceded his whole point. And then Destiny was like, all right, fine, your stocks are going to be fine, goodbye. And he like hung up on him. And that one moment really is stuck with me.
I could see, and I love Relevant. Like I just think he's so lovely. So I love Relly, but Yeah, he's great. I will say, and Wicked Supreme seems nice as well. I haven't talked to him yet, but I will say that, okay, Steven is obviously self-aware it's happened. Okay, no, he's aware something is happening, but he refuses to engage with it enough to be responsible for it, which I could see why Max would be upset about that, right? He's playing this game of like, I know it's happening, but I'm going to pretend it's not happening. So like, in my worldview, people can be aware something is happening without accepting it enough to do something about it. So there's still that ground where they're not actually being aware. It's like when people can logic their way and they're like, I'm introspective because I can say it out loud. But if you can't implement it, you're not really being introspective. So I just don't think Steven is in this place yet. And I'm trying to like meet him where he is on his journey. I just don't think he's where he could be enough to actually hold himself responsible enough to actually see that what he does matters. I just don't think he holds himself to that standard internally. But people around him hold him to that standard because he talks like he holds himself to that standard. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
he'll say like, I don't hold grudges. I'm willing to build the bridge with anyone. I'm willing to do whatever. But he doesn't actually do that. But he says it enough that people believe him. I'm logical. I'm not emotional. He says it enough that people believe him, but he throws tantrums. He breaks up friendships. He like, it's like a game everyone's playing. And then the women around him will coddle his feelings and like, it's okay, Steven, it's okay, which is fair because women, we do that. Even I do that. I'm doing it right now. I'm like doing it
I
right
do it.
now.
I do it too. I don't think it's just
Yeah.
women. I think it's all women and me.
Oh, women in Smeth. Perfect. Yeah, there's something about him where it's like, we know you're lovable and everything, but also he reminds me of like when my brothers fuck up. It's like, hey, you're fucking up and like you should do better. But like your brother's arrogant. He's gonna be like, oh, I'm not fucking up. You're fucking up. And then he's gonna fight with you. And then you guys are gonna like argue. And then, it feels like family fights, but this is just how people seem to be. But Destiny I think he's trying. Maybe I watched a little bit of Dr. K and him today, and he might be trying to take himself more seriously, but you can see even Dr. K is struggling for him to like see what he's saying. It's very interesting. So I think that part of his mystery is what makes people watch him as well. Is like, will Destiny figure it out today? Will Steven see it today?
I have a less friendly like perspective on this. So
I'm an optimist. So
I see. I like that. That's but I was watching another like bit. He was in like this kind of recently. He was in a hotel room with Melina and Zerka, and they were he was sitting at the desk like on his laptop, and they were like to his back and like lounging, and he was like very activated, and they were kind of relaxing. And that dynamic already, like I was like, so maybe it's just like very biased because that was triggering memories of this guy I made that video about, and he would always be in that position. And Melina had gotten her like cell phone stolen, and he would not let her take control of that situation. He was like he was like complete like on top of everything. He gave her no like room to have responsibility for her own issue, which I mean is nice. That's what's nice about someone like that. Like if they're like the same type of person, but also like it kind of makes you like dependent on them, and like he was completely like it was almost as if Melina was like to take charge, like that would be like irresponsible. He has to be in charge. And then there was like the back and forth between him and Zerka, like these two very strong personalities. Like there was one moment where Zerka, like they had to leave the room, and they were all complaining about how they had to leave the room in like 10 minutes. So Zerka calls up the front desk and he's like, oh, by the way, just so you know, for the next people, the refrigerator isn't working, but it's fine with me. I just want you to know. And that probably wasn't true. But then he said that to like maneuver, and he's like, okay, would it be all right if we stayed one more hour? And they let him stay another hour, and he's like, see, and they looked all cool for the stream. And then Destiny's like, nope, we're leaving now. Like immediately after. And that one-upsmanship is like he just did like a cool thing for the stream, and you're just nope, we're leaving now. It's like, what? And I was like, oh man, that hurt.
Yeah. Let me like say so this is, I understand the perspective, and I think so. Okay, Steven are wanting to control Melina and the phone situation. Here's my assessment of Steven. Again, I'm not a therapist or anything, so just like people to people. I think he's not doing it because he's a narc who's trying to like infantilize her. I think he's an ageist who infantilizes Melina, as he often says on stream, right? He often says, like, she's young, she's stupid, she does kid things. Like, I'm waiting for her to grow up because he wants to assume he's like smarter and better than everyone around him because he's actually like a little child who's like waiting for mommy's approval, which he never will get because his parents are a mess. God bless. No judgment. It happens. We all come from dysfunction. And so I actually don't think it's like narcissism in that sense of like trying to like undermine Melina's like self-confidence. I think he's just trying to be the hero because he really wants somebody to look at him that way. And I think that's probably why it hurt his feelings that I didn't see him like in the way that maybe he thought I could see him. Like he said, Brittany sees me so differently than I see myself. I can't trust her, which is fair. Like, right? That's a fair assessment of the situation. But the dilemma is that I can't see him as like a vindictive like narcissist because I know people with NPD, I think. And when I see them, it is to dangerously infantilize people. It's like dangerous. Destiny Steven feels more like a kid who's just like somebody like I'm a hero. I can do things too. Like that's what it feels like, which is very different to me. What do you think? Like, do you see it as different or?
Well, the person we're both comparing him to another person that's like not like here.
True.
And the person
Yeah,
I'm
true.
comparing him to was like that.
Oh.
And but he would do the like on purpose infantilizing stuff, but like not like that was also like intermingled with like a need to like because I had called him out because I mentioned in the video I was honest with him a lot, and that's why we were close for like a long time because he needed I was the best like friend he could have had ever, like I think, and I feel
Really?
bad for him because because nobody's ever going to be as honest with him, and but
Can I
I
ask
would
about the age difference between you two?
same exact age.
Same exact age? Really? The way you're telling
Yes.
the story, I keep thinking he was older for some reason.
Yeah, but he's like really rich and like really like driven and like makes himself incredibly miserable like because he's focused on all the wrong things.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
But he just needs control, and so I would call him out on that, and he would just say I know what I want, like him always being the admin of every social group. But before, like we had Discords, we had like Facebook groups and stuff, and then I would throw like coups to like I want to make a new Facebook group and I'll be the admin and everything, and then he would sabotage it often, like secret like and it would go and it would like get all toxic and shit, but he wouldn't do it like very directly, but he would always end up and he's like I know what I want and I'm the only one that can make it happen, and everybody should trust me. And it wasn't about hurting other people, it was about him being in control.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I see that a lot with like my NPD person who I don't know, like he wasn't diagnosed with NPD, but I think again they don't get diagnosed often with it. But I think for the sake of the people in my life, all the books we read on it, he seems to fit the bill of NPD. It's like really interesting because like there is a lot of that, and again, it's like a really difficult illness, and like my heart goes out to them because like what a way to be, like what a way to suffer in life, right? It
Yeah.
is one of those things. It's like talk about I would take my borderline any day, right? Like because at least I get better statistically. Borderlines get better with enough therapy. It's just so interesting. So I will say there's a lot there that I think feels similar to other things or other people. And I think that's why I'm being so precise with like a diagnosis or not a diagnosis, or at least an assessment or at least an understanding, because anyone could sound like a narcissist if you play the story correct, which is what I didn't like about Max, because he would take something that like could be that, but then he would twist it. And I'm like, why you do it? Like, don't twist it because then that muddies the waters. And that's what my fear is that people are going to accidentally. Like he twisted me, like having a colt because I had collars.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, he absolutely. Weird... I mean, his point is kind of right, sort of. But I think what he was reacting to, especially being new to streaming, was just what streaming is like at all, or like being like have the like you the way you've like monetized like your content and stuff. He's just he's just afraid of all of that. So he's just like he's you're a cult. I think he's just he's uncomfortable with what he was growing into, and
yeah, I feel like fear is like the root of all evil, and so that's why I don't like it in people. When people are too afraid, I just think they're like the problem with society. Because again, like fear just stops you. It doesn't allow you to be introspective. Like fear is really like, I think fear is an introspective stopper. Like I'm afraid to look into myself. I'm afraid to face myself. I'm afraid to face other people. I'm afraid to acknowledge other people live differently than me. Like it feels like Max sometimes forgets, like, the world doesn't revolve around Max. Like the world is very different and unique and nuanced and everybody has a different culture. And so sometimes I think it's like really strange, that fear of like, I'm afraid this could hurt people. Life itself hurts people.
I
So
don't
we're
think
not
that's
actually trying to
fair.
get rid of harm.
I don't
Well,
think that's fair.
why not?
Wait,
Why not?
because I think that is the it depends on how much. I don't think that he's like a holy warrior on like a mission to change. Like I don't think he wanted to change you or anything.
Right.
I think he just wants to like to frame things in a way, because this is something I do too. So that's why I'm defending him. But I like pointing out things that I think are like immoral, but that's not a condemnation of the other person. And I do immoral things, or like it's things that aren't perfect. And I think that's interesting, and it's like something to think about. But I think with you, he just went a bit too. I think he regrets it. So I told you in a message that I sent you that I think by where you're like by your standards, I think he might be a narcissist. And
Sure.
I called him out in private about it, and it actually was related to you. But interestingly, though, what he said about it was actually affirmed by what you said about it in that stream too. So he's right, and I was projecting on him about my friend that I was talking about in my video. But I said that it was when you were looking to talk to people with age difference relationships, and I was like,
Yeah.
you should talk to her about that, because like maybe she doesn't want to talk to you, but maybe she can like criticize you. Maybe like she would like that. And so I was like, you should reach out to her. And he's like, she doesn't want to talk to me. And
That is
and then
true. I have blocked him.
I know. And you said you're never the other day you said that you're
Yeah.
not interested in talking to him ever again.
Yeah.
And so he was right, but I didn't see that, and I was like, I think that you don't want to like experience your own shame. I think that's why you're afraid to reach out. And I was saying, I think that you might actually be a narcissist. But I was wrong about that specific thing.
It is interesting. Like, I think that's the hardest part, is like watching people with so much self-awareness. Like Mr. Girl, Steven, people in the space are so self-aware, but then even me, we have our shortcomings and our biases, and it takes like a very specific person to, I think, bring out the best in us, or to have like good conversations with us to do that. Like I know I can't see Max fully. I don't understand him, and I can't do that. And I'm sure there's like ways I don't see Steven, which is why I failed in communicating with him and like showing myself to him. And that's what I kind of like always attribute it to, because I feel like when people see each other, like there's just less miscommunication, right? Like most of the time when I get along with people, like we're good to go. I don't fight with most people I know. And when I do, I'm like, oh, I must not see a part of you, right? So no matter the journey Max is on or anyone is on, I want them to know like it is valid. But like narcissism is something we all have, like according to psychology. It's just the spectrum in which we experience. And then there's NPD, which is like the diagnosed personality disorder. So I think Max is probably just high on narcissism, and probably so is Steven, and probably is most YouTubers compared to the regular populace, you know? And so I can understand like the fear around that and all of that. But so I'm curious then with your video, if we're talking about narcissism the way we're talking about it now, like why call out Steven? Like why bring his face into this? Like what was it in that moment that made you feel like I'm gonna rile up?
It's because of the comparisons that the person in my video had made about himself and Steven, or like condemnations of Steven by way of comparison. And and I'm just afraid of Steven.
Yeah, what is that? Like, he's not very scary. He barely has muscles. I know, it's about streaming. I'm making a joke.
I know. But it's just like, so like when this stuff was going down, and I mean, I'm like embarrassed of like my like early streams. I was just so like meek, but I did a stream that was the interrogation of Mr. Girl. And I got like all like anybody that could call himself a Mr. Girl orbiter, and like some like mods in his Reddit and stuff, and people that had criticism of him, and to ask him questions about his investigation. And before that happened, so I paid Destiny $50 and I went on to stream because like if you like do that and like you're the highest tier, then you can go on and it's like
Yeah.
so I was like, so I want to know what questions do you have? So I'm gonna be doing this. And he like ripped into me, and I was trying to go in like good faith, and the fact that I was going into it in good faith, like I don't know what I just want to I want to know what questions you have you might can be concerned about, and I want to ask because I wanted to drill him about the ethical standards he was holding himself to when conducting the investigation. People didn't like that. They wanted me to rip into him, but the fact that I wasn't interested in ripping into Max and I was like being very good faith, that pissed off Destiny as if I was doing something wrong, and he like tore into me, and he like at the time he would say I love you at the end of every time he would sign off with anybody. He said I love you. Wait. No, I hate you. And then yeah.
Wait, Mr. Girl would or Steven would?
Steven would. He would say I love you at the end of every time he talked to anybody. I never talked to him before. And he said I love you, and then he said no wait, I hate you. And then when Elder Drazi went on after that, and then he's like, and then I asked Elder in his chat, I was like, ask him if he loves you or if he hates you. And then he was like, well, I don't hate you as much as Smeth. Like I hate Smeth like 99%, but you, I only hate you like 20%. But
yeah, do you think he's like negging or flirting? Because I see that as flirting. Like I feel like he's negging you because like it's not reasonable. Like he can't, in all seriousness, make this statement. So it's like a joke, right? Am I autistic? I feel like that's a joke.
If you're right, then I was too fragile to see it in that moment.
I mean, to be fair, I think that's Steven's charm is like he will use language that's technically reserved for intimacy, and it'll make people feel close to him. It'll make him think he's closer to people. And then he'll also act distant and confuse people. And I think he doesn't mean to do it, but he knows he's doing it, like flirting. In the same way, like when you flirt with people, you definitely like create an intimacy that makes them feel close to you. But then it could also be rooted in something real. And like he could be saying, I hate you, and it's rooted in some realness. And then I love you. And that's like, who knows? But the problem is like we don't know any more than he knows, and I just don't think he knows.
My girlfriend, I remember like because I started dating like 4 weeks ago or something, and I remember like early on I was like, we were talking about it like the way that things had started, and I was like, by the way, I was negging you. I didn't realize I was, but I was like negging you.
Yeah, it happens that way. Congratulations on finding love.
Yeah. Yeah, so you think that Max is a narcissist, or more likely to?
Well, I think he's high on the. I think he's really high in the narcissistic scale. Which, to be fair, if his mother's stories about his mother are real and his family, that would kind of make sense, right? Because like if the trauma is real, then he's just like a pretty basic product of trauma. And I think where he fails is projecting that trauma onto people. I think that's like a part of it, maybe. Like that is the most annoying thing about him. Look, I don't like it when people do that in general, unless they can preface it with like, I could be totally wrong. But Max doesn't preface things with I could be totally wrong, does he?
No, I think he doesn't like that you do, too.
Yeah, I think, well, because I could be wrong. Like, I hate to say it, but I'm kind of a humble bitch. Like, I know I could be wrong. And I feel like Max needs a little humility.
Yeah.
Especially for every time he's been wrong.
Okay, I think that I see you guys as like very similar, like maybe not necessarily as like people, but like as like thinkers.
Sure. Yeah.
And
fair.
I think the main difference, and I mentioned this to him, not regarding you, but I think that the thing that makes it hard for people to see him is his relationship to his parents, because his way to solve his relationship with his parents was to cut them out of his life completely. And I think that comes through in everything he does. Like everything he does, the confidence, the willingness to not say that I might be wrong, like all of that, I think is because of that. I think that is, and you have like a very much opposite way of handling things. You're like, take people for who they are. My parents are homophobic, right? And but they're good in this way, and they're not good in this way. I need to know. And so his way of confronting that is complete severance. So
yeah, I think to be fair, I think some people have worse parents. Like, if I think I wasn't gay and if my siblings weren't gay, and I think like we would have had less trauma growing up. I just think I didn't win the lottery there with like the perfect like pro gay, pro trans, pro sex work parents. You know what I mean? So I think we're all born into levels of dysfunction, and I think Max probably just experienced a larger thing, and so did Steven. Like, they experienced dysfunction on a level that I didn't. Do you remember? I don't know if you ever saw it, but we did a stream, the three of us, and I was feeling very on edge during this stream. One, because I was in the middle of doing my hair and I got called on, but two, like, I do feel like Max was being disingenuous with the way that he was communicating with me, but that could be me. And so I was like on edge during this conversation, but basically, like, they were talking about like hitting girlfriends, and I gave an example of like a way I could relate, but Max is like, that's obviously not the same thing. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, I'm just not like on this level of dysfunction that you two are on, where like him and Steven are talking about, yeah, like I could see you wanting to hit someone or yelling at them or like, and I'm like, yeah, I think I know what that is. And then Max is like, no. And I was like, okay, well then I'm just like, I had better parents. Like, I'm sorry. So I think what happens is like on the internet, we're all traumatized and dysfunctional. We're just on such a spectrum. So like I always call my dysfunction middle class dysfunction. I have like middle class immigrant dysfunction. It's very specific. But I feel like I didn't, Steven, when he talks about his parents' problems, like my parents are very different. They're responsible and they are like capable, and like I don't have to bail them out. I just have to take care of them in retirement because that's what Middle Eastern kids do. But Steven is going home right now to like take care of his parents for making bad financial decisions. I don't have that responsibility. So I don't have that trauma. And then Max like cut his parents out. I can't cut my parents out. I'm Middle Eastern. Like, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
We don't stop talking to our parents. Like, that's very weird. So again, I think what
Well,
happens
it's weird
is like,
for him. It's
is
I
it?
think like yeah,
He's Jewish. I guess that must be weird.
yeah. So it's, but like that's why it's so weird. That's why he's so weird, though, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Well, did he have like, to be fair, I think it's okay to cut bad people out of your life.
Yeah.
Does he feel like that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, does he have this like desire to fix it? And maybe that's the problem, is like he hasn't let it go. Like, he didn't cut them off with like a peaceful, I'm glad I did this. Is that why he's probably upset? I don't know. I don't mean to
The
ask you about him, but
I know, like the other day when I mentioned this to him, he said that he does like miss them, like because I told him like because I
fair.
mentioned this, like, you are disaffected from the parental gaze, like in other words I said that, and he said he's not, but that's, yeah, I anything else I could say, I'd be really, I can
Personal,
talk about
I assume.
myself, but I don't really know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's fair. Don't, yeah, that's fair. It's interesting. So I think ultimately, like when we're observing this, like everyone probably has a spectrum of dysfunction, a spectrum of narcissism, and then whether or not we're engaging with that awareness is kind of the key. I think it'd be very hard to say out loud, oh yeah, because like again, I'm in the mental health bubble. Not that I'm a mental health professional, but like I consume that content constantly, and it's very common for everyone to be like, yeah, of course we have like a spectrum of ego, narcissism, and then blah blah blah. But in other circles, like you never want to be called the N word. Like it's like I don't even want to be associated. It's like it was like doing the death panel with Wick. It's like the idea of even being around people who want to unalive themselves is so traumatic to people when that's like my daily life. So I'm like, what are you talking about? We're all just having very different relationships with reality is like kind of my thing. Hence bubbles.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
I don't want to get into, okay, I think that if we went into time machine back 50 years, because we still had some kind of understanding of psychology on some level, any person in the modern day in like the first world country would be diagnosably NPD, like compared to their standards then. And I think that the culture has shifted where, like, because of the way we engage, because of social media, because of how we identify within culture itself, I think the narcissism is going up in general. And it's not a dysfunction or a disorder because it's the way society is. And I think a personality disorder generally is like a personality that doesn't fit into society and like interacts with it in a way that people don't like. And also usually trauma. I hate this. I hate that you identify so much with borderline personality disorder, because I think that really just means trauma. And I think that like all like the BPD is like like 50% of women are diagnosable as BPD. And so it's just like, I hate it. I hate it. Which we do, because if we would just accept that, like, we as society are traumatizing women, then we, instead of just like saying, oh no, they're the problem because they have BPD, we should admit that this is all of our problem.
Well, I think we need to start realizing that like BPD is something that happens to you. So I think the problem is people think people with BPD are just BPD, but like they have to understand that means they had trauma. That means the world like either caused them to suffer in such a way they have deregulation or they have like problems with like regulating. So that's my dilemma with borderline representation. And also we discussed it yesterday on my stream. Lots of therapists will diagnose NPDs as borderlines because the NPD won't handle the diagnosis. So lots of narcissists are running around here identifying as borderlines, and the borderline community, oh my God, listen to me, is like getting a bad reputation. But I do think like trauma, it happens to all of us on a spectrum. My version of trauma was enough that it was like eventually affecting my life in such a particular way, which most people's doesn't always have to. Like most people can live their whole life without technically fixing their trauma if they're not introspective, right? Especially if you're not introspective, then you can just go throughout your life thinking like, I'm just like that, I guess. But I needed to fix myself. I needed to be better. I needed to reach goals. And so I needed to do that. So again, like, I think like borderline is really important as a diagnosis for people who need to like fix something. And I needed to fix it. It's the same reason why I wonder, because borderline is neurodivergent, but I also wonder like what else? And I have dyslexia. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But I'm like, is there anything else I need to tackle? So sometimes a diagnosis is just really saying, and you're right, by the way, I would need to say this out loud, in psychology, and I'm not a therapist, borderline and autism and everything else are just a group of behaviors we group together, and then they call it thing. So that's why with borderline, after enough therapy, you can technically get undiagnosed with it because you're not doing the group of activities.
Yeah.
So I see your point. Like, I understand.
But if it's got utility, then absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Can I ask about your video? Like, has the person you were talking about in the video, have they reached out to you?
No.
Okay.
But I know.
Ever...
So other people have cut this person out, and like my like best friend still like talks to him sometimes. Like he cut him out for a long time, and now he talks to him, but like in a very like limited capacity, where he's got like a lot of boundaries and stuff. And I've been told that that's why in the video I have what's Seth up to, because I know that question gets posed, and it really it really freaks me out and makes me really upset that I've heard the amount of hatred of me, and 'cause, like, way before I'm like making this video or anything, like, I understand if you would hate me after making this video, like, yeah, but yeah, I'm like trying to like move on and like grow as a person, and I'm like thinking about him like and fondly and stuff, and the hatred that like how much he despises me, and like will expect me to like fail, and like we went on a vacation, and this is the last vacation the last time I ever saw him, and in the airport I had a like portable electric shaver, like, and there was like, we were in the waiting for the airplane, there was like nobody else there, there was like one other person like way far away, and I just started shaving with this, and then he's like looks at me, and I mean I was like, this makes me feel cool because it's like a power move or whatever, but and that's I think plays into it, because then he looks at me and he's like horrified, he stands up with his fiance and they have to move like across the whole room because he can't be seen near me, and he will still bring that up as like he like there's like I am wrong, there's something wrong with me, but I think it's just like that I had like some sort of, I don't know, like dignity or assertion of myself or self-confidence or something, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Would you ever want to talk to him again?
I don't think it would be good.
Yeah, probably not, to be fair. But do you want to?
No, not when I hear about how he feels about me. Like, I
Yeah.
would want to talk to him because I do care about him, and he's like my friend for like a very long period, like ever since like I was in a sophomore in high school,
Wow.
and he is like a big part of my personality is him, and I do care about him, but I don't think it'd be good. Maybe like way down the line.
Yeah.
You
I
said
could see
that
that.
you said that Destiny like
Hmm.
like doesn't mind cutting people like out, and like he like tells them like just leave, like, but that's what this guy does too. Um and like people would leave the groups, like the group chat or the Discord or whatever, and they get mad and they'd leave because it's something he would do. But he would be like, I've never banned anyone ever. Like it's always them, it's always their fault. And
Mm.
but he would like he'll push you until you leave, because that's gonna be good for him in two ways. One, if you can't like handle it, then he doesn't need you, and if you can, then now you're more under his thumb, and you're putting up
Mm.
with him like domineering you and being abusive.
Yeah. So, okay, let me tell you. The reason I think this, my NPD person has a similar pattern. He'll like he'll criticize you and like make it so you're like, "Hey, I can't be around you anymore. Like you're super toxic." And he's like, "See? Everyone leaves me. I'm the only person who never leaves." Steven doesn't do that. Steven is a good friend. He was very considerate to me. He was very nice to me in Miami. He was very like thoughtful. He like paid for dinner multiple times. He reaches out. He just, it's shallow. It's not the same. Like he'll reach out, and when he says, "Hey Brittany, how was life?" He's not actually asking me to like be vulnerable. He's he's just like doing the social expectation. So he doesn't know how to be deep with people. And so he's doing, so when he says like, "I don't care if you leave," he's not doing it because he's a narcissist. He's doing it because he has abandonment issues and he's avoidant, in my opinion. It's not like he's actually very nice. Though I have no problem with how Steven treated me as a friend. The bridge burning was mean, but like whatever. Okay, but otherwise, like he was very considerate and nice. He was never like, he never made fun of me in private. He never belittled me. He never like made me feel insulted. But my NPD person in my life does that. He like chips at you away slowly, and then when you're with him, he like it's different. It's like one is like, I'm kind of afraid and I want friends, but I don't know how to be close to people, and one is like abusive in a way that is so specifically like tied to their narcissism. You know what I mean? Like Steven's just traumatized, and like my NPD person is like pathological. Like he's maniacal and like malicious and like wants to really
Does it
hurt
get to
people.
you?
And then my NPD person, oh yeah, well,
Really?
yeah, like the last time I saw him, he triggered the fuck out of me. I was doing so good. I was like really like putting up a fight because I was like, no, I know what this is. And other people were around me watching me do it, and they're like, "You're not saying anything. Like he's being so mean to you." And I was like, "Shh, I know what he's doing. I know the game." And then finally it hit me and I got fucking triggered. And I was like, "You're being," and I was like, I was so angry at him. And then he goes, "You know what you are, Brittany? You're a narcissist." I was like, "Oh, narcissist, narcissist." I was like, "That's what they do." And it was like, oh, my NPD person has known me my whole life. Like I'm very, I'm very close to them. At the last time I saw them was during this big fight. It was in November of 2019. I'll never forget it. And it was like it was very painful because this person there's a part of them that is so lovely and wonderful. They're so smart. They're so fucking smart. But then they do this cycle and they misuse and abuse everyone around them. And then they go, "Everyone always abandons me." But then it's like, it's a whole thing, right? So they found someone to be very codependent with them, and it's their partner. And their partner is like convinced at this point, like, no one understands him. Everyone is always mean to him. And she doesn't look at the way he abuses her. He abuses everyone around him. He's hurt like hundreds of people. I got names, receipts, but I love this person. I will love this person until the day I die. They're in my inner circle. They're very important to me. They know, trust me, they're watching my YouTube channel right now. Okay? Like we've known each other our whole lives. Like
That's
they're
probably
not going to pretend they
the
don't know
most
me.
beautiful and healthy thing you could do for them is say that.
Well, they know they are so loved by so many people. They just refuse to accept it, and it is what it is. And like their therapist is like, I think they have borderline. I was like, girl, reassess them, girl. Come on. And like it is one of those things where like she's like, I can't. Like that's the best we can do. And I was like, but you know it's not the real diet. Like you know it's worse than that. Because if it was borderline, DBT would have helped. Something would have helped. CBT would have helped. Something would have helped.
Okay, maybe it's because you knew them for like such a long period of your life, but I see you as like the most bulletproof person. Like you, no, not like as like a streamer, like probably not in the real life. Like I don't, not in real life,
Yeah.
but as like a streamer, you're like so good at defending yourself, I think, and asserting yourself. You will in like these panels, you will have like a presence that you, I don't know, it's you just demand people treat you in a certain way. And yeah, so I'm like this guy person must be like really really bad, you know, like that's what I'm thinking.
It's like it's hard, dude, when they know you so well and you know them so well. They get under my skin. They know exactly how to do it, and I'm like, and like it's really funny because I'll laugh about it. I'm like, oh, you're so good at it. I hate you. And he's like, I'm not doing anything. I don't know why you're laughing. This isn't very funny. I was like, oh, because you're doing it, and like it helps that there's other people around, and like we'll point it out. Like again, I've known this person my whole life. Like I love them so much, but like, oh, what a thing to struggle with. And they knew it even when he was a kid. They saw it. People saw it, but they weren't mental health aware enough to get him help on time. And so I have a lot of empathy and like there's, you know what I mean? Like I know what it is to love somebody who is so broken, but I also know like I'm open, but I have boundaries. So that's
Okay,
one of the things that I think, you know, is necessary for me. Is
okay,
that
I
I
have a
have
theory.
boundaries.
I have a theory.
Mhm.
Okay, that is interesting, but I'm going down like a path here. Okay, I've got like so maybe it's because you have such a like long-standing relationship with this person and so much closeness that changes what the relationship looks like. Because maybe if you had never met this person you're talking about and you were like completely new, I'm pretty sure they would treat you very different, right? And it would look very different.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to see the same things.
Right.
It would be more like hidden.
Yes.
So could that be the case with Destiny? No.
Obviously, it could be. You're asking me if I'm like misreading him. I could be, right? I could be wrong. Okay. So like I could be wrong. I just don't see enough of the same overlap or the feeling I get with people is like Steven doesn't give me, this is so woo woo, but he doesn't give me like bad vibes the way that this person does in my life. Cause like this person in my life, when I meet other people that are similar, I'm like, oh, you have the tenants. Steven doesn't have any of the overlapping tenants with my narcissist. So I just can't put him in the same category because neither does Sneeko. Sneeko and Steven remind me so much of each other, but they're in different categories as well. They're totally different. But they just feel like hurt boys who've never been loved and they don't know how to actually admit they want to be loved. So they trick women and trick people and they don't mean to. But that doesn't feel like the same as a narcissist who never feels loved because they can't give it to themselves. Steven and Sneeko do love parts of themselves. They know what it is to love parts of themselves. I think my NPD person like does not even understand how to love himself, even an iota.
That actually does
Versus
make
like,
sense.
so that's
Sorry.
why I see the differences personally.
Yeah. Um, yeah.
Does your friend love himself at all?
No.
Any part of himself?
No. No.
Yeah.
No. No. Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. So I don't think Steven
and that's
falls into
that's
that category.
that's the thing. Like so, and I wrote in my like video description, like the way he was like treating. So like he became like a sort of like a mentor, and I always looked up to him. He's like really smart, really driven, really talented. Not as talented as he would like to make you think, but he'll like position himself. So part of the reason he wanted to be like put himself in that position is because he wanted me to care about the things that he's good at. And so then, but I'm good at things that he's not, but those don't matter and they're stupid. The arts are stupid. I told him that, like we had like an argument about like, cause I consider myself like a pretty good writer when I try. And he's like, no, I'm like way better than you. And I'm like, why, like, can I see some of your writing? He's like, no, it's too personal. And he's like, yeah, I write like fiction all the time, and just you'll never see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But I was getting another thing. I forget what I was getting at. What were you saying?
I don't think Steven is a narcissist. I think he
No, oh
doesn't
yeah,
remind
that
me of my person with NPD. Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, he hated. Okay, so the guy, my narcissist.
Mhm.
I put in my video description that I think the way he was treating me is kind of like how he loves people, because he was treating me. He was turning me into a copy of himself. And to be a
Mm.
copy of him means that you hate yourself and you're miserable, and I mean, but you're, in control. You're talented. You're in control, but
Mhm.
it's not a good way to be. And um, I think that Steven does that. I think that people that aren't like him, he like you have to be like him. Like you see him different than he sees himself, and he can't like have that.
No.
No,
Steven's upset that I saw part of him that he doesn't want to acknowledge. I think more than anything. But the part of him that I saw that he needs to acknowledge is that I said the same thing he says. I just literally see it. So when he says, I don't care if my partner cheats on me, I don't care if my partner breaks my consent, I don't care if I break my partner's consent, he says it. And I say, yeah, and I'm pro consent. He'd be like, wait, I'm pro consent. And I'm like, well, not really, right? Because you're okay with cheating. And then he'll say, wait, that's not how I see myself. I see myself as someone who's pro consent. And he is. Steven's never going to assault a person. Well, I don't know that, right? But like, I think so. But he doesn't understand that cheating is a form of breaking consent. So he doesn't understand why Brittany sees him as someone who breaks consent. I think that's what he means when he's like, how can Brittany see me this way? You know what I mean? Like the other day, I was like, am I an animal killer because I kill bugs? And everyone's like, Brittany, you eat meat. I was like, that's not the same thing. I was like, am I an animal? Like I just see myself differently. Like that's Steven doesn't see himself as somebody who's like who believes in breaking consent, but I have to because he's cheats. And I think it's
right.
something like that. But like my MPD person, let me tell you what you just said about yours. Same thing with mine. Extremely, like mine's really talented and very smart, but doesn't engage. He wanted to be a streamer. He like bought all the same camera gear, asked me for advice, had the whole setup. His wife bought it for him because of course he doesn't work because of course he marries for money anyways. And so he has this whole setup. Never in like 10 years has he ever turned on the camera, and he'll for years leading up, we haven't talked in a while. For years leading up to it, he was like, you're a bad streamer. You're never going to make money doing this. You shouldn't even be on the internet. What are you doing? And I literally sat here and accidentally made it my full-time career while he's sitting here like he's always wanted it, but refuses to post a video, refuses to face the world because he knows, and I know that the moment he does that, people will see it. And he's afraid of being seen. Steven is not afraid of being seen like that. Steven's afraid of being seen like in a vulnerable way, which is why today with Dr. K, he was like, I think you want me to get deeper with you. And Dr. K's like, well, only if you want. And Steven's like, like it's different. It's like Steven's afraid to be vulnerable. It's not that Steven's afraid of being seen, but it is the same thing. He's afraid of being seen because he doesn't want to be vulnerable, but it's not the same kind as a narcissist.
I
A
think
narcissist,
you're
yeah.
winning. You're charming me over. Okay, I think I'm starting to agree with you. But yeah,
Yeah, I just think I'm very big on like my weird neurodivergent thing is like categorization. I'm just like very particular about how we categorize things because I think the nuance makes it feel like everything's the same. But I just know it can't be because like that's why the experiences are so different. By the way, are you the painter? Are those your paintings?
yeah, yeah.
Smith, you're so talented.
Thank you. Yeah,
My
I
audience is blowing up the chat right now, and I'm like, wait, is he the painter? You're so good.
well, thank you.
It's very
I
impressive.
I want to get back to painting, but is this not worth it? The time commitment to do a painting like some of these,
Sure.
it's like some of these are like every day for like a month. Like that was the main thing I was doing, and like, yeah, I need to
Yeah.
get lucky to find a rich person that wants to launder money through me if I want to do that for a career. So, yeah.
True.
Uh, you don't like Dr. Ramani. Maybe you don't hate her,
I
but
don't I don't hate her. I used to watch a lot of her. I sent a lot of her videos to like people in my life who are connected to this NBD person. I wanted them to feel at ease knowing that it wasn't their fault, quote unquote, that this person was so crazy. But at the same time, I found that her fear around narcissists bothered me because again, I'm not afraid of my narcissist. I mean, I have reasons to be, but like I also am not. I just feel like you don't need to be afraid if you know what's going on. What's scary is when you don't know what's going on because you can be very charmed very quickly. They can take over your whole life. They can empty out your bank accounts. They can assault or flirt with people they shouldn't be flirting with. Like, there's absolutely a line of scary when dealing with NPDs. The dilemma I have is that I'm more of a Dr. Kirkonda fan, where like he has helped people with NPD, believes in their recovery, or at least getting somewhat better. Like, again, it's not about curing, it's about helping. And so I think I'm more on that page, where I would love my possible NPD person. I would love it if he would get his shit together so we can hang out. Like, I would love it. He's my inner circle. I can't erase him from my life. I can't pretend he doesn't exist. Like, I love him too much. He loves me too much. Like, we're never not going to know who the other person is, even if we don't speak for 20 years. Like, right? We can't do that. And everyone else in his life that loves him, we're all just like, we love you. I wish you weren't fucking sick, you know? But he's an adult and he's allowed to leave the family or the area or the friends or the church or whatever he wants to leave. But it's obviously not for reasonable reasons, right? So I want people to make decisions to leave out of reason, not out of sickness. And that's my hope, that psychology and science will get good enough to help people with narcissism personality disorder so they can come home for Thanksgiving. You know?
Yeah, there's a way you can engage with people like that. That is, but you have to like have like boundaries.
Yeah.
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 The,
You
the
have to
my
have very, yeah.
my narcissist would kind of like, he kind of would know that, but he would say it like everybody has to be like me, because if you're not like me, then like it's your fault that like you're hurt, like, you know, it's
Yeah.
you have to be like this. And I think I've heard I forget the name of this guy. I don't know who you're talking about, Dr. Kirkonda, but I was listening to Max talk to a narcissist YouTuber and
Yeah,
clinician.
the one with the accent. What's his
Yeah,
name?
yeah.
He's full of fear too. I don't like his
Is
work
he?
either.
I haven't watched his
Yeah, I
work,
think he is.
but he
Oh,
was
people in
talking.
my audience really like him, but he's too fearful for me too. And he thinks
He's
everyone's gay and everyone fucks their mom. I
he
don't know.
weirds me out. He weirds me out
Yeah,
in
I
like a
don't like his
tingly way. He's like creepy. He's creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
But like he says that he is like like a narcissist sociopath, and yeah, himself. And
That would make a lot of sense, actually.
yeah, so he's so he's creepy. But that, I think that's what makes him a little sexy though. He's like creepy.
Yeah. There's something about the owning. That's why Max was so attractive to people. He like seemed to own something. And that's why I think like when people own something, there's something interesting about that. But anyways, keep going.
Yeah, he was saying that he was developing like a way to like cure people of their narcissism. And it would involve like they would have to experience what is it, like when your ego collapses, or a narcissistic wound. They would have to go through that, and then they would have to be forced to build themselves back up in like a structured, like healthy way, like not in the way that they're used to, and something along those lines. And I think that if Max was a narcissist, I think that you were the exact type of person that would be able to wound him like that.
Yeah. So you think Max is a narcissist because I couldn't wound him?
Well, I don't know. I just think, I don't know. I just see that you could probably maneuver him in his own language. Because the thing about him, and this might be like, I don't see him as particularly scary or dangerous. Maybe if I was like bigger than him, I would actually. But if I'm not bigger than him, he's like very, he gives other people boundaries for them when they need it, and he doesn't. So he's like very harmless. I mean, it might piss you off, but it makes him harmless. But what he does is, to protect himself, he takes control over everything. So if you were he'll criticize himself before you get to do it. He puts everything on the table and he owns it, which is good and interesting in a way, but also it disarms actual criticism, and it enables him to always, have control over that.
And this is
so
Max, right? We're talking about Max? Are we talking about Max?
Yes.
Okay, just to clarify. We've been talking about a lot of he's today. Okay.
Yeah.
And he
think
does that
that
through like yeah, I think that does I think that makes sense to me. Keep going.
it makes it so that if you have criticism of him, he is able to maneuver himself that it's not your criticism anymore. And so he would need like a sparring partner that is like really apt at exactly what's going on in the conversation to be able to do that.
But to be clear, like I don't think I could do that, right? I didn't do
You
that.
don't?
I failed with Max.
Oh.
No, I failed to see
Well,
him.
I guess I
was-
see you
failed
too
to see
highly
him.
then maybe.
Yeah, probably. Take me off that little pedestal, you know what I mean? Like, because like I didn't even see Steven. How did I fuck up so fucking like how did I do that? And a big part of it was probably because like I feel like Steven didn't see part of me, but like my audience thought that was so funny because like Brittany's always been talking about people and their relationships. Like I see YouTubers as like reality TV stars. Like I know you're real people, but also I'm gonna talk about you, and I expect you to talk about me. I just want it to be like within reason, you know what I mean? So I don't know how I messed up there. I don't know how I messed up with Max. I just feel like I can't see. Maybe I can't see something because I feel like if I could see it, then I wouldn't have messed up.
Yeah. You think that his relationship with Shaylin is probably toxic?
Oh, yeah. Like pretty clearly. But again, lots of toxic relationships can become untoxic. So there's a chance they could fix that if they're still together. I don't know obviously, but like yeah, there's always a chance it could get better, but I think it's obviously toxic.
What makes you say
Yeah.
that? I mean, it
So
probably is, but I'm just interested.
yeah. Okay, so first and foremost, I think we're all born into dysfunction and there's always parts of us that aren't functioning, right? And I think a big part of their relationship couldn't function because of the toxicity, the communication style, the lack of seeing, he didn't allow her they never negotiated in a way from what I saw that allowed either of them to get what they needed out of the relationship, which should have been a sign to break up, but instead they stay together. And I think couples who often stay together, even though it's clear you should break up, like that's the toxicity. They don't allow a space where they actually can be themselves. But my theory, this could be wrong, is that with each other, they've been more themselves than they've ever been before. And so it feels like it should work because they've never been able to be themselves so much in a relationship. But it still isn't as much as they could be and be accepted. And if they were as much as they could be but be accepted, or as much as they could be but get help, then there's something missing in the like when I see it, I'm like, oh, it doesn't quite fit. It's like a puzzle piece that almost looks right. Like an emo couple that's like, we love each other because we're so emo together, but then they're not healthy enough to make it bloom into something good. They can only stay in this like place. You know what I'm saying?
What
Like
makes
there's
you think
something
that they're
missing.
What makes you think that they don't accept each other?
From my understanding from the last video, the long one we saw where she's crying in the background and there's all of this
The
stuff, they
orange.
literally tell us. Yeah, they literally tell us, right, in that video. And Shaylin's like, I want to do this thing. And Max is like, no. And then Max is like, I want to do this thing. And Shaylin's like, what? And they,
That one
it feels
wasn't
like
that
they're
like
not on the same
the
page.
one where they're like they had sex?
I think so. Yeah, that's a big part of it. Yeah, but
No,
like,
no,
was it a show?
No, the one where
With
like
the doll.
you post the doll one. Okay, that's a different one. Yeah. Okay. This is my perspective. Okay. Is interesting because I want your like feedback because I want to be like, if I'm fucking like brainwashed or something, you know. So I think that that particular video and that conversation is Max getting what he needs out of the relationship, and there's none of that with Shaylin at all. I think like there would have to be but that I don't think that means that he doesn't do that for her too. But I think that the age gap does probably mean that he gets it more because he is and he said it himself that he's able to outpace her too. But also I think that the way that he will like make sure to like explicitly give her like space to do that on like really really intentionally, but also doing that also takes something away from her agency, where she has issues with codependency. And so him making sure that she has the space to like to have that same experience where she's asserting herself in a way that makes him uncomfortable and stuff, and that just him giving that to her on a platter, which probably is what's happening, would also play into her codependency.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Are you done?
Oh, am I done?
Did you finish your thought?
Pretty much, yeah.
I just don't want to interrupt you. Okay, so maybe this is my bias. I think the reason age gap relationships when the younger person is too young don't work out is for two reasons. The older person doesn't infantilize them and they have something over them, but they are acknowledging it. It's why I don't like Destiny and Melina's age gap relationship. Obviously, he's an ageist towards her. Like, he demeans her. He blames her age on a lot of the problems. Max is like, oh, I can do this thing to my partner because I'm older. If your partner is your partner should be your peer and should be someone you equally respect as much as yourself, and should be someone you want the best for. And I think if you're in a relationship where you're looking down on your partner or claiming like, I'm smarter than them, I could take advantage of them, I can manipulate them because they're young, like that, you're telling on yourself, right? You're like telling on yourself.
But that's
and I
his
think
thing.
That's the problem. Yeah, like, right? So he's told us, so now we can't hold him accountable. Like, fine. Okay, he can't hold himself. But that's where I see the toxicity come in. Like, I would never. What if I came on stream and I was like, my partner is so silly. He's just a stupid little boy, and I am so like. It's just like, why are we talking about our partners this way? Like, my partner is a capable adult who consented to marrying me and has decided to do a life with me, and I respect him and I trust him to make good decisions. Like, I trust myself to make good decisions.
I've been having this conversation in thinking about this conversation. I had this conversation with myself. What he needs to fucking have something to hold against this criticism, which is completely valid criticism. He needs, so he keeps like joking that one day like Shaylin's gonna write an article about him, and she needs to fucking write that. That would be the best thing, that at least for you and me, that would be the best thing optically for him, if she did that. But yeah, like she needs to like make a video where, I mean, I guess in this context, it would be in service of him and not of herself. But if she were to make like a video like the doll review, but like for her, it would really make things look a lot better, I think.
Well, and I think that's the problem, is like, not to be such a mom to everybody, but I kind of feel like when I see people doing the like, oh, it's fine because look, I'm figuring it out, I just feel like I'm watching people in the same way like a parent would, which is like, you're fucking up, but you know what? We're all gonna fuck up, so it's okay. Like, Shailene could come out and talk about how wonderful her relationship is with Max. She could write like the most wonderful article in his honor.
No,
and
I'm saying the opposite.
Like,
No.
The opposite. Like, I'm
saying that she should like ruthlessly be completely brutal and honest about.
I
Yeah,
see.
that's what would make it look good, because that would mean that it's like level, you know.
I see. Like, okay. But don't you think people, okay, this is my belief. I think people can consent to abuse, like, to an extent. Some people, caveat. So I think, like, I look at Shailene as somebody who consents. I remember being so upset over this in my Discord. I remember talking about it high as a cloud. And I remember being like, fuck Shailene and fuck Max, because if they're going to be so toxic together, they deserve each other. And there's a part of me that believes that. And there's a part of me that's like, hey, I hope you guys like feel better and stop hurting each other and like get some help, you know, because I want the best for you. Like, I want the best for everyone. But I do think Shailene does consent to that relationship, and she has the right to as a grown up. Just like Melina has the right to consent to a relationship where her partner is like not going to be committed to her. And like, I think that's fine. Like, I think you're allowed to do that. That's why, like, when women come to me and they're like, oh, Sneeko hurt my feelings, I was like, stop fucking with Sneeko. Oh my God, how many women does he have to fuck over for people to understand this? But the problem is they think I'm the one. I'm going to change him. I'm special. He's told me that. I'm the only one who can fix him. And so the cycle continues. That's why I think everyone's dysfunctional and everyone has abuse. It's just a matter of the spectrum. How toxic and abusive do you want to be? I can be toxic, and I can be dysfunctional. My partner and I, like,
age gap relationships have that like cost benefit, where like being with someone older is good for you in a lot of ways too.
Yeah,
and it
obviously
holds you back
they're like
too.
more established. Hopefully, they like comforting. They know what they're doing. Yeah, obviously, like totally, 100%. There's like a lot of benefits to that. That's what I'm saying. Like people are allowed to consent. Again, for me, it's like harm reduction. So when I look at a relationship on whether or not it's good or bad, it's like, is there more good that outweighs the bad? And like, is there a large enough gap between these two things? You don't want to be like, oh, it's all good, but it's basically almost bad. It's like you want to make sure that the gap is like pretty big. And again, this is somebody who's older. I've gone through therapy. I've gotten better. I've like moved to dysfunctional relationships out of my life. So I am speaking from a place of I've already done dysfunctional and it didn't work for me. And so I cut it out and I'm like now at this stage in life. So I don't need everyone to be where I'm at, but I'm just saying it's possible not to be there. You know, like Destiny will hear me say things like, or Steven will hear me say things like, my partner's perfect for me. I'm not saying he's 100% perfect. I'm saying he's perfect for me, Brittany, the consciousness, and we're compatible at a very high rate, but we don't have the same hobbies. We don't have the same interests because they're not important to us. We're perfect for each other because we share the same values. And
That's
for
why
us,
that's
like,
why you're bulletproof. Because you can be a
wow.
no, because you're honest enough that that calling you a hypocrite doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I also think life is like tiny contradictions, but I think like
Right.
there's this thing that I don't think people are understanding when I talk. Like, I'm always talking about values. My partner and I don't give a fuck about hobbies because that's not part of our values. But for Steven, when he often talks about that, he's like, well, Brittany's partner can't be perfect because like, what if they have different hobbies? And I'm like, this hobby's part of my values? Like, who cares? Like he plays D&D. Do I play D&D? No. No.
Yeah, I don't
Never.
get that. I don't get
Never.
that. Like it's not for me either. Like people say that you should like find a partner that has like similar hobbies. It's like the one hobby you're gonna have in common is sex. And like so you got that
Okay,
one, you know.
if your hobby is like lifestyle, so if we're both hermits, his parents came over the other day and they're like, "Do you want to travel? Do you want to see Croatia? Because I live here now." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, eventually, but like I don't leave the house really." And they're like, "But don't you want to see Europe?" I was like, "Yeah, eventually. Give me like 6 months to a year." And they're like, "Okay, just as long as you're happy." Like people have to understand, like we don't have hobbies that take us out of the house. Like he doesn't have a hobby that takes it. Like if he was a skier, which he did as a child, and he did that every weekend, that might cause a rift in the relationship, but we are so
Mhm.
compatible because we have the same values and lifestyle. It's very specific. I chose him, so I would have to change very little, and he chose me, so we would have to change very little because we're already grown and we already know what we're doing in life. So our lives just match up perfectly. Most people aren't doing that though, Smith. They're dating people that are very opposite, that are living completely different lives, and they're asking them to morph themselves to them. They're saying, "Hey, I know you've been doing this whole thing independent of me, but can you come be with me?" And then the partner who's more dominant tends to be the person who gets their way, but eventually the person who didn't get what they wanted, it will erode in the relationship. There will be resentment. There will be like
Yeah.
there will be fights over and over again. So again,
And we
I
fetishize it too, and I fetishize it too because like I kind of relate to women in a lot of ways, as especially being like I wanted to be a woman. That's how much. And
mm,
um I I used to be so jealous of that, and I think I mentioned this to you like the first time I talked to you like a year ago, that
my God,
women
it's been
get to
that long.
have. Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Women get to have that benefit of like the age gap. Like it's a lot harder to find like that kind of relationship like as a guy. But women often, and the fact that they rely on this is bad. But a lot of women will rely on that age gap relationship to help them like progress in their early 20s and stuff. But that
Yeah.
also takes a lot away because they're molding themselves into what the man wants. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Would you want to see more age gap relationships where the men are younger?
Where the men are younger.
Yeah, like are you like hesitant to like are you saying I'm just curious like separate from that thought like age gap relationships in general, are you do you think it could benefit men to be in a relationship with an older woman?
Yeah, I think like to as much as it can benefit a woman, and it would have drawbacks. And I think that it's bad for the standard to be one way because I think that
Yeah.
the standard being that men date younger women makes it so that women as like a standard are molding themselves into what we see a woman as is what a man wants a woman to be because that's they've so often turned themselves into what a man wants a woman to be. So
Mhm.
I think that I think it would be honestly it would give us a vision to have more relationships like that of what women want men to be. Like we don't even know what that even looks like. We
Well,
that's
no one
how
believes us.
right.
No one believes us either. Like, because some of us women, like, again, like, I think women are changing and saying we want men who are more in tune with their feelings and more sensitive. And men are like, no, that can't be it. And I'm like,
Well, yeah, but
as
that's the
women
thing.
make more money, that is what we're gonna need, right?
Well, it depends like what women is saying that, because and it's a cyclical problem, okay? Because that lack of trust, me like also like if you are a woman that was molded partly by a man, and like be whoever you want. I mean, I wish that I was that man. I wish I was the man that was molded by a woman, okay? Because it would have given me benefits in life, okay? But if you are that woman, then if you are saying what women want men to look like, your perspective is tainted in that way. And so if men see women as that, as a product of their own desires, then for a woman to then say what an ideal man is like, yeah, but you don't even know. And it's hard to like know for sure. So I think if we had more relationships where the men were younger, we would like, that would be like, we could just look at it objectively, third party, not like connected, and be like, this is what a woman wants a man to be like.
I think you said it earlier in the stream, and I do want to offer it up as also another thought is like, depending on the bubble, you will have women who will punish men for being emotional, but say like they want it emotional out of their men, or like women will be like icked out by certain kinds of guys. It is a conundrum, because I'll watch like a Fresh and Fit bubble, and that's like very different, where the women are like, ew, he's bisexual, no.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
man, that's so upsetting. It's so upsetting as a man
but
when you
like
hear that.
it's very like hetero, like, and I'm in the queer bubble, and like I'm in the queer circles, and like it's very different, like gender, what is gender, and like what is like everything's just like whatever. Like I'm a very like everything is a construct. Like that's where I live, is like everything is a construct bubble. So for me, when I see people are like, I could never date a bisexual guy, I'm like, weird construct to choose, bro. Like where'd you get that from? And
What does
then
that
I
have to
get it,
do
but like
with you? You know?
well, insecurity, fear. I'm afraid he'll leave me for a man. I'm afraid I won't be good enough. I'm afraid.
I think it's also
fear.
status or something. Like it's like a bisexual man is just like it means you're settled or something somehow. Those women, I hate that, because it means to me it means that a woman that says that means that she is so out of touch with, because what I look for in women, I mean maybe I'm wrong. This is my theory of like female sexuality. I look for women that like really like gay porn, or like because I want women that like know that they're attracted to men and like are very in touch with that, because I like to feel desired. So if a woman like is like, oh, if he's gay, like the thought of me being with a guy doesn't fucking turn you on, what? Like come on.
Clip it. Put it on Twitter. That's a pretty good tagline right there. No. I think that's really actually good. Like one of the things I did when I was courting my now partner, my now husband, is I was like, let's exchange porn. What do we watch? Like, what are you into?
Yeah, I like
and I was
that.
really excited to see, like, not only did we have things in common, and like there was definitely a vibe, but like I looked like some of those people he was looking at. So I was like, oh, fun. Like there was something really optimistic about it. Like it was so nice. But then I think, again, it's about sharing, like, why are we into these things and what are we experiencing? And a lot of heterosexual women that I don't involve myself with often, right? I have a couple friends that are straight, but like they're very different. Like everything they do is different. The way they date is different. It's very interesting to me. Like it's just fascinating. Like I can't even like explain to people how different it is compared to the queer women or pansexual women I'm with. Because like I'm pansexual. My friends are mostly queer. Like we're dating totally different. We want totally different requirements out of our men.
I don't even see it like that. Like as I just see the way you're describing like the way you are as like being different from heterosexual. I just think that you're just smarter. Like
I mean, No, but I don't know if it's smarter, right? Like I think it's just I fought my whole life, hence the borderline. Like my therapist thinks my borderline is because I was rejected as a gay kid growing up. I fought so hard to be like queer and to be allowed to date anybody and to be allowed to love anybody, that I think to take that away from somebody else would be so strange for me. So I probably like, it's probably a part of that too. Like I'm just more accepting, and I try, I don't know, but I don't know.
I don't think anybody is straight.
I think some people are straight. I think most people are bisexual, pansexual, but some people are straight and gay. I think some people are straight and some people are gay. I'm more of a Kinsey scale kind of girl. And I think like there's a whole bunch of people in the middle.
I think that this is controversial. Okay, I don't see why. It's controversial because we've had to stake out like extreme positions. I don't think anybody's born gay. I don't think there's
What do
anything,
you
but
think?
like that, the reason I know you can squint your eyes because people that say that usually are saying that because they want to dismiss being gay as a legitimate thing. But I don't know. I think
Oh,
you're
for
gay.
sure.
You are gay if you're gay. But I don't think that our like sexuality sort of like develops and stuff. And I think that you could be straight like by any definition of the word and then suddenly become in touch with your gayness. Like you could
Yeah.
unlock that later in life. And it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
because you
yeah.
were born to be it. I think it's fluid. It's yeah.
Well, the question is like, are you gay because you do gay things? And so, from my lived experience, being in, especially in Seattle, where everyone's very comfortable with themselves, and we're all going like skinny dipping and nude parties and BDSM, a lot of straight guys will make out with other guys, but they're definitely straight. A lot of straight girls will make out with girls, will even eat box, and they're still straight. And my theory on straightness is like, who are you going to live your life with? Like, are you willing to marry a man or a woman? But that could be wrong of me. I should maybe say like, there's orientation and then there's like sexuality, which is like some people have been doing that. Like, I'm biromantic, but pansexual, or I'm biromantic and like hetero romantic. Like, maybe that's a
I
better
don't
way to
think
look at it.
I don't think you're wrong. It's just how you see it.
Yeah, for
You can't
sure.
you can't do that to yourself. You can't both say that you this is how I see it, but also I might be like wrong. But like it's just your values. I don't think that they're like you're discrediting yourself. You know, it's just how you
Well,
feel.
no. I'm trying to categorize correctly though, because I think there's an objective T truth to the universe. I just don't think we have access to it as much as we think we do. And then there's like little T truths, which are those subjective truths, which I do validate, like in myself. But then there's like objective truth, and I'm like, is there a thing called straight? Like, is this a thing? Is straight in action? Like, there's one part of my brain that's being curious about the actual objective, and a part of my brain that's actually exploring the subjective.
Okay, I don't believe it. Okay, then you. That's why I'm saying that because I don't believe that that objective thing happens. I think that we're all just like our sexuality is like a chaotic reflection of our experiences. Like I could be like physically gay, but like the thought of being like emotionally like gay like so like I could like jerk off to gay porn, but if I start to think about the guy as like a human, the way I do when I jerk off to like to women, then it's like different. And I think that if I had experiences, or I could try to have experiences if I wanted to, where I sort of become in touch with that, and if I had experiences maybe in my childhood where related to a man in a more intimate way or something like that, it could have happened in that way.
Yeah, I think that's the problem is I think that's okay. When I say introspection and I say you have to know yourself, it's very hard to ask yourself a billion times over, am I into women because of this? Am I into men because of this? Am I into people? Like I recently had a conversation with my partner where he was like, why do you keep saying you're bisexual when you're obviously pansexual? I was like, I'm not pansexual, I'm bisexual. He goes, you're literally pansexual. You've been with non-binary people. You'll date people who are gender fluid. And I was like, oh, I'm not politically. I don't like the politics, but you're right. Like I don't care what people's gender is. I care what the consciousness is. But when you identify as like pansexual, it insinuates that I like non-binary political people and I don't. I don't find them attractive, but it's their politics that are unattractive, not their gender. So I realized like even I was misidentifying myself because of the way that the word was associated with politics. Like I'm a feminist in spirit, not in politics. So like philosophy wise, I agree with feminist philosophy, but I don't agree with feminist politics because I think they lose sight of things. So it's like when you're identifying, when I'm getting to know myself, I want it to be as accurate as possible. So I actually think there are words and terminologies and bubbles we can put these things into, but all of them are a construct. So all of them aren't real, but they are real because they're put into a construct. And then there's like an objective reality that I think exists outside of my or your consciousness and our ability to have a relationship with it. So
I think that's also why you're bulletproof. What you're doing now, and you do it all the time, is that you will
stop. You're going to make me so, I'm going to become a narcissist in this stream.
No, you actually think this is like a criticism though. Like
Okay, go ahead.
no, yeah, no. I think that you will give other people so much room where you'll like. I believe that my experience is an objective like fact of like so.
Okay.
Like my feelings are objectively my feelings, or my way I define something is objectively my definition, and I don't think you need to like preface everything, but like sometimes other people do need that, and you are very giving in that way where you do all this work for like for the other people so that they can be ready to receive what you have to say. And I think that that's what makes you bulletproof in that way. But I think that it also might come at a cost to you. I don't know how you can survive that. Like, how does that not chip away at you? We're giving so much room to people before you even give yourself room.
That's where you're wrong. I give myself the most room. I'm the most important person on this whole planet. I take care of myself first and foremost. But I had to learn how to do that, to be fair. Like, even my partner and I'm my favorite person. And then it's him, and he's his favorite person, and then it's me, and then we're each other's favorite person. Does that make sense? Like, I give myself all the room, and then I give myself to people when I can. So, like, I'm open, but I have boundaries.
I'm just saying,
And those
when you're
boundaries are
explaining...
rooted...
Sorry.
Well, I'm here to make content to help people go on an introspective journey if they want to. So I have to meet them where they're at. So it's kind of like proving my work also by giving people that space, right?
Yeah. I just think it could, I can't imagine doing that to the extent that you, because that's like your like biggest skill, I think, in your like content, in my opinion. And I can't imagine doing that all the time without it like chipping away at my own. Maybe that's because of my experiences, like about that video. Like I have trouble, like I've done a lot of work to differentiate myself from people, like, and not like become enmeshed in a conversation. So you just have that differentiation naturally.
Maybe I'm losing you. Are you saying, because like when I talk to you, I'm thinking, my brain goes, okay, jump into Smeth bubble, and what's he doing, and how does he feel, and what's his language, and like, how do I make Smeth feel like I see him and hear him, and make sure that I do. Is that what you mean?
Right. I'm not, yeah. So if I were to do that, I would become you more than I want to. That's why this is why I relate to Max a lot. I think that he has a lot of boundaries because he has that vulnerability where he will like become the other person, like way more. Like, I think that's why he had to cut off his parents. And so for me, and I think for him, the conversation is less the way you described it, and it's more like I'm trying to defend myself from you to be able to survive the conversation. Like, I'm clinging to myself. I'm putting my hand into your bubble, and I'm clinging hard, desperately to myself. I mean, it's getting easier and easier for me, and I'm more confident with that. But that's just like my like feeling and perspective.
Yeah, I wonder how much of it relates to like borderline, because borderlines, we have a lot of issue with, like, we mirror each other. Like, my mom used to say, Brittany, you'd come home talking like all your friends, like, where's Brittany? And I'm like, oh, Brittany's like a collection of everyone she meets, but also there is a core me. And I think my introspective journey was about finding that core person, because I do hop into people's bubbles a lot, and I'll come home talking like them. I have callers that have accents, and by the halfway through the call, I'll be talking like them, and then we'll laugh about it, because like I tend to pick up on what people are doing. And so I will say a part of that is just like mirroring, and also you don't want to lose yourself in the conversation. So what I have to do is remember that, like, there is a Brittany here. The problem is like most people who come to me don't actually want Brittany, right? They want to talk about themselves through Brittany. So it makes no sense to make it about me unless we're having a more intimate relationship or friendship. So I'm fine with it, because like I feel like that's why I'm good at my job, is like I don't care about making it about me.
I really want to see someone be your Brittany. I want to see what that looks like.
Okay, that's funny you say that, because I think Dr. K could do it, maybe, which is sort of ironic. I think he could do it. I don't know. It's quite vulnerable. But people talk about it. Like, one time Steven on stream was like, oh, I'll ask you questions. I'll get to know you. But like, nobody ever does, right? Like, nobody really wants to know, because even when they ask me stuff, they'll always frame everything through things I've talked about. I think because I'm so blunt, people have a really hard time seeing me outside of my work. Like, my work is my personality, right? Like, on the internet. And I think my viewers get me better because they watch me a long time. But even Kyla, when she reviewed my levels, she goes, oh, this is like probably inspired by your borderline. And I was like, what does that have to do with anything? And so like, that's interesting to me, because I'm like, if people only see you through the lens of like, it's hard. I don't think I'm interesting enough for people to care about it. And also fair. Like, I think my work is much more interesting than me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Maybe that plays into it. Maybe you are running and you need someone that's really good at chasing you. maybe you are putting you're putting up all these you are prefacing the things you say, and you're asserting your understanding of someone else so that you can be that mirror, and you mirroring people and doing that, maybe that is like you're escaping and you're actually getting further away.
Yeah, probably. I'm probably keeping like a nice distance on purpose, right? I'm trying not to be too vulnerable. I also feel pretty
Intentionally?
fulfilled by like, well, obviously I'm like here as like a professional, and I'm here as like a not like a YouTuber, like just like a person. And I'm trying not to be too vulnerable, obviously. And sometimes I am more vulnerable, but like think with my partner or with like my siblings or my inner circle, like those are the people who get like my most vulnerable. I just don't see why the internet deserves it, which is why I've hesitated talking to Dr. K, because he has a tendency to be a little too vulnerable with people. And I'm like, like, I don't know if I really want to go there with him. But then sometimes I think like I have an interesting story and I wish somebody was interested in it, but then maybe it's not that interesting and that's why nobody cares. So I'm like, forget it. My work's more fun. You know what I mean? So it's hard to know, like, when do you want to be the center of attention? I think, again, my work is much more interesting than me, unless, because it's not, you're right. I think I put up walls so people wouldn't even get to see the most interesting part of me. So I don't even think I'm able to do it, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to display it for strangers on the internet. I don't know.
I think that everybody's interesting.
Yeah,
You just gotta
I think most people are interesting.
You just gotta say it in an interesting way. If you like say like your truth into a video camera, and then you spend a month editing it, then you could make it interesting. You could make it an interesting video about how you feel about tying your shoes in the morning.
Yeah, that's true. Your video was really good. I actually really appreciated your video. A lot of people were like, "Why is his face so close to the camera?" I was like, "No, it's a vibe." Like, I get it. Like, I couldn't get that close to a camera, but I love when people do that. I think it's so interesting.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really liked the way you filmed that. Everything, and like you scraping off the chair and then getting to the point in the video where you were like, "It's never what's on top," because everyone's been sitting down. It's what's on the bottom. And I was like, I was waiting for that chair to make sense. Yeah, it was good. It was a really good video.
I'm trying to talk about you right now.
I know, but I want to switch it.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I guess I can't do that.
Yeah, I don't know who it's gonna be. I've been like secretly, my partner and I talk about this all the time. I was like, I think I've been looking for somebody who could bounce ideas off of me in a way that would make me feel seen. I think it could be also, do you know who John Vervaeke is? Professor John Vervaeke. He's a philosophy professor. He did Smeth. He did the meaning crisis, and it's so good. And I was like, is Vervaeke someone I could talk to? But he's so smart. Like, I feel like I'd be so dumb next to him. But like, also, I think he'd get me. I just want somebody who wants to explore the ideas of what I've been working on with me in a way that like they actually get it. But everyone like I talk to, they almost get it, but then they don't get it, and they make it about them, which is not about either of us. It's about. But then see, my work is a part of me. So maybe that's it. If people could understand my work, maybe they'd be able to understand me better. I think some people do. I think some people in my audience get it a little bit, but they still like it's very intimate, this thing you want from me, but also it sounds exciting to me.
I don't know. I don't know if like I feel like you don't necessarily want me to do that, but when I say I want it, I'm just interested.
Yeah.
But also I think it would be, I don't know, like it just I'm trying to unpack my want here, because that word like straight, like why would I want that? So maybe it's because I think that you are like hurting yourself a little bit, because that's what I said before. I feel like that would hurt me to some extent. Like maybe you're like pushing yourself down, and so like maybe that would be good. Maybe what it would come out would be like a big explosion, like a big, powerful, like really provocative thing.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think so though. I think people are pretty not interested. Like, I just think people want to do different things, and I think the work I engage with is for like a niche community, and I should probably just be chilling in that energy. Like, I'm not a filmmaker. I can't make a film. Like, I'm not a YouTuber like that. You know what I mean? So I think like I think I'm communicating in my best way, and the right people will hear it, and the cool people will chill, but like, you know, and then the people who don't get it, don't get it. But I don't think I'm denying myself anything more because I am open and curious, but I think I'm being wise with how I engage with it versus in the past, I think I've been less wise. So maybe it's that. Like I'm just trying to be more wise. And I don't think I'm a wise person. I'm pretty sure I'll die an unwise person, you know.
Your camera just got like buggy.
Pixelated? Did it get
Yeah.
weird?
Yeah.
That I had a guest on and they kept I had Kidology on and that kept happening to her camera. Am I back?
Yep, you're back.
Okay, good. Yeah, that kept happening to Kidology when she was on. It was insane.
I've seen it
But
happen
okay, let me know if
before.
it happens again. Yeah, let me know if it happens again. Now I'm curious, moving away from me and back to your narcissism video. And do you really feel shifted on like Steven possibly being a narcissist? Like, do you feel like that is a miscategorization of him possibly?
So for him to be a narcissist, I think it would mean that in the way that I was sort of seeing him is like he is like filled with all that shame and like self-loathing and then projecting that onto others. But maybe I don't, maybe that makes a sense that he doesn't have that maybe. But what is there then? Like I don't like if I don't see him like that, then the way I see him is very cold.
Well, he has a different form of trauma that he's dealing with. Right? I don't
I'm not
he has
saying like
different yeah.
I'm not like what I'm saying is just like me my objective biased for like I like if I'm not seeing him like as wounded in that way where he is projecting it onto other people. I mean, I can see him not like that, but then I'm seeing him as a lot less warm.
Here's my theory with Steven. Steven is like Dr. House, okay? They like pretend that they're like, and Dr. House is a narcissist to be fair, but like, you know, like bad example, but like they play this game of like, he plays this game of like, I don't care about people's feelings. I wasn't even hurt, which is why when he burned the bridge with me, people were like, why are you mad at her? Like you have to tell her you have feelings. He's like, of course I have feelings. And the mistake is like, it could be a narcissistic rage. It could be NPD rage where he's like, of course I have feelings, even though I've been, but that's not what Steven's doing. I think Steven finally, maybe I warmed something in him where he was like, maybe I could be somebody with feelings, but like he always had feelings. He just didn't know how to interact with them. But I feel like it is a more avoidant personality than NPD. I just think they play out differently. Like I said, Steven was really good to me in the friendship. He never like belittled me. He never made me feel like psychologically abused. We talked for very little, like I think like 5 hours total in private, but like in public we talked a lot. You know, I saw him once in Miami. You know, we talked. I did never got an energy from him that he was like not projecting, but it wasn't the same. Like it's more like he doesn't know how to engage. Like he's just getting on medication for his ADHD, right? That means he's just having a relationship with himself where he's like, maybe I need medication. But even today, he told Dr. K it's for the efficiency of being a better employee, basically. And Dr. K's like, well, what if it's not about the world? What does Steven need? Like he doesn't even know how to like take care of himself because no one took care of him growing up, right? A narcissist, even if when they're really well taken care of, it's not enough. I think if Steven could take care of himself, he'd be really, really good to go. But a narcissist struggles to even take care of themselves. Steven has a much greater chance of being able to do that. But he has to stop playing the sociopath game. Oh, I'm a sociopath. I don't have feelings. Brittany hurt my feelings. I had to burn the bridge. Which one is it, bro? Which one is it, bro? The narcissist obviously has hurt feelings, but they lash out. He didn't lash out at me like a narcissist. He lashed out at me like a child.
But isn't that what a narcissist is? They're like a child?
A different kind of child. There are different kinds of children that lash out. It's a tantrum, but they're two different kinds of tantrums. And I don't know, how do I specify the differences? Like,
it's the reason it's extra hard is because the person that I'm taught that my narcissist was very able to take care of himself and he would take care of everyone around him and like to be controlling of them. And
yeah,
like he knew that he was like a narcissist that knew that he could have power by like he needed to have power to wield it, to get his supply. He told me once that he's like really upset with or constantly very aware of and ashamed in a way, weirdly ashamed in a way, of how much he cared about his father's judgment of him, or like impressing his father's approval. And that like bothered him. He's like, this, it's not right that, you know, it's not good that I feel like I need his approval so much. And yeah, I just see that like it's so similar. It's so similar to me.
I could be wrong. Like, right? What do you think of Trump? Like, do you think Trump's a narcissist or just high on the narcissism scale?
I can't tell with Trump, honestly. I think he's probably a narcissist, but like the way he presents himself. But I get like little glimmers though of behind the scenes once in a while, and it seems different. Like I was watching him like sign a tractor, and he like had this like grand like signature. It was pretty cool. And the guy was like, "Oh, he's like, see, no, Biden could never do that." But then like that was for the photo shoot, and then the camera was moving away, and he goes over to the tractor guy and is like asking him like random like weird little question about the tractor because he's just curious. And you know, I don't think we ever like see Trump like in a normal like way like that. So I don't really know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to say with him. I go back and forth because people are always like, he's a narcissist. I was like, he's definitely high in the narcissism scale, but I don't know if he's NPD, like literally. I mean, he could be. I bet his kids would be more likely to be NPD, honestly, just because of the way they were raised with the family dynamic. And so again, I want to give a lot of like empathy and sympathy to the people who are struggling with any kind of illness in relation to this. I just think like it's hard to know, but again, maybe I'm biased because there are so many things that Steven does that to me like fit a different diagnosis and like match up much more with ADHD and avoidant and like the way he was raised versus like an NPD diagnosis, which is very rare, by the way. So like I don't want to like I can't assume that of him, but like I wouldn't bet money on it just because it doesn't fit the like what I've read about narcissists. It doesn't quite fit. It fits if you twist it, but it doesn't fit perfectly from what I know about him and what I've experienced with him. Does that make sense? Like it fits
Yeah,
if you
absolutely.
twist it, but it doesn't fit. But it's not satisfying to my problem solving puzzle brain. I'm like, I'm not satisfied. It feels like we're fitting it in, but it's not. It's different, but it's there, but it's different. Like, where does the lack of introspection come in, right?
This is like I wish that Destiny would take on one of mrgirl's tools, and just like a criticism like that, he can like own it and explore it, and that becomes his content. And it's that'd be interesting, and it would be like useful to people in a certain way. But instead, he needs to like reject it, like completely. And it's just like, no, that's interesting. No. Like that's like I wanna hear what you have to say about that. Like genuinely, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think when you're dealing with people who can't face parts of themselves, you're really just dealing with like a person who's maybe not ready or on a different part of the journey, or like they like introspection, or they don't want to do the work. It's too hard. I think the narcissist, Dr. K said it today very interestingly. He was describing a person who's like introspective but can't do anything about it. And sometimes I think narcissists are actually very introspective but they can't do anything about it, versus like somebody who's like in denial completely and hasn't gone down that introspection journey enough to actually like see I think a narcissist sees that they're the problem but denies it. I don't think Destiny even knows he's the problem.
Yeah, narcissists know.
Genuinely.
In my experience,
yeah, I think the narcissist knows. My guy knows too. My NPD, knows.
I was his therapist basically. We had these really like hours and hours and hours talking about his work life and everything, and he'd be like, like there's something wrong with me, like people like that's not normal that people keep living my life like this. Like something wrong, and it really breaks my heart.
Yeah, it does. It is. It's very sad. And again, like. Again, see how the things match up. Like Steven like burns his bridges. He doesn't burn his bridge. A narcissist, I feel like, would have the conversation with me. Steven's decision to block me and not give me a chance to explain myself, especially in private as his friend, is avoidant behavior. It's not narcissistic. A narcissist would be like, yes, Brittany, tell me how you would do this to me, Brittany. Tell me, Brittany. Like a narcissist would want to know because they're so consumed.
Max would want to know.
Like my MPD would want to know, right? Explain it. But Steven doesn't do that. I think he just got hurt and he feels betrayed by me as his friend, and I feel confused by him mostly, and he won't talk to me about it because he's afraid that the conversation will make him introspect in a way he doesn't want to, versus a narcissist was never going to introspect in the first place. They just want to hear me talk about them. So I just don't think he's a narcissist.
You really think it's because he doesn't want to introspect, and it's not because he doesn't want to be painted in a certain way?
Yes, because he paints him. He agrees with my assessment of him. He already went on stream. He's like, well, Brittany's technically right that I do have like kind of a dysfunctional relationship. And then he'll be like, Brittany's technically right. I do cheat on my partner. And like, Brittany is technically right. So like, he'll admit that my assessment was correct. He paints himself that way. And so the problem is like, he doesn't want to see himself enough to be okay with the fact that I'm friends with him and I still see him this way. Because like, he forgets that I have friends that are very diverse from me. Some of my best friends are cheaters. It's just like, who cares? Like, I care, but I don't care that much.
Okay, I think maybe this is why you like have a lot of negative feelings towards Max too. Because when I saw that happen, my feeling, and this is completely like third party, like I don't fucking know, but my feeling was that Max hurt Destiny in that way, and Destiny was seeing that signs of that with you, and he's like,
yeah.
And
a lot of people felt that way. A lot of people said that, like, you know, which is kind of embarrassing because then, well, okay, so if Steven admits that I'm not Max and that I'm just myself and I'm blunt and he just didn't know that about me for some reason because he doesn't watch my content, that's fine. And then he would have to admit that he threw a tantrum on stream, and then he'd have to admit that he burned the bridge without thinking, and then he would have to admit that Brittany's like right, but obviously I was wrong with the way I painted her, and then he'd have to admit, and then I would have to say like, if you want to be friends with me, you actually have to negotiate, and then he'd be like, oh my god, I have to put effort into this friendship, and I'm like, yup, sucks, because like even the same, like I'll have YouTubers reach out to me, Smith, and they'll be like, hey, I don't really like the way you talk about me on stream. I'd like to like talk about it. I'm like, cool, negotiate with me. Let's talk about boundaries. And I have not heard from them in like 2 months. So people want to say, hey, you hurt my feelings, but they don't want to sit down with me and negotiate boundaries because they forget this is my job. This is my content creation. If you don't want to be a part of that content creation, then you're basically saying you don't want to be my friend, because what friend stops their friend from doing their job? And if you want me to talk to you about you differently on stream, we got to talk about it in private, which he denied me access to doing. So again, people say they want things, but their actions matter. If you want me to have a clear understanding of your boundaries, tell me what they are. I'm not going to guess them, and I'm certainly not going to change the way I talk on stream about the work that I do, because I've been consistent for as long as I've been consistent, right? My viewers thought it was such a normal stream. No one knew why it blew up, because I've been saying this. I've talked so much shit on Sneeko, but for some reason, DGG just never hears it. Oh, Brittany never talks shit on Sneeko. I have whole ass streams talking shit on Sneeko for hours, calling him a cuck and a pussy and a bottom.
I hear you say Sneeko every fucking time I ever hear you. Like for the
It's just people hear what they want to hear, and so it is what it is, right? So again, I just don't believe people until it makes sense with like the consistency of their personality. And so that's why I think I'm a little bit good at my job, is that usually I can be like, that doesn't feel honest. It feels like it sounds honest, but it doesn't feel honest. And that's what I'm looking for, is like I want it to match up the feelings and the reality. So it's consistent, right? Yeah. But like, I don't care. Everyone's on a journey. Everyone's imperfect.
That's the difference between you and Max. I just realized that you, Max will describe what his perception of you is, like very explicitly outright. You are mirroring. So so if you don't want to look in a mirror, because you're doing a lot of mirroring. So if you don't want to see that, then talking to Brittany is scary.
Yeah, and I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the look, just in the status I have with my family, being the mom character, and like people call me, they're like, okay, you're gonna judge me, I'm doing this thing, and then they watch my face go like this, and they're like, oh, I know, and I'm like, I know, and I'm like, that's what I do best, because like I'm not gonna really judge you, I'm not gonna condemn you for being a person. I won't. I don't condemn Steven for being a person.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Like, I don't even condemn Max for being a person. Like, we're just people and we're just doing things. But that's the thing, is like, if you come to me, I can't lie to you, and I will be quiet if that's what you prefer, but I can't lie to you. And I'm not going to pretend like I'm not uncomfortable. Like, I remember when, like, again, when people come to me for advice, like, I'm pretty like, okay, like, like, what do you need? What am I doing here? I'm really just like saying what I'm seeing. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I've been wrong in the past. I actually just reviewed Finster, if you know that side of YouTube, and I was wrong about something about him, and I'm going to put that video out this weekend. And I love being told I'm wrong, because I agree. Like, he assessed me. He's like, Brittany's wrong. I was like, oh, I am wrong. Cool. like, because again, I'm just like, imagine me being a nerdy scientist who's just problem solving with no stakes in the game, except I want everyone to like be better, but like not really, because I don't care, because no one's gonna remember us, and we're all gonna die.
What are you looking for? Okay, I'm now what I'm doing is I remember the first time that I talked to you, you were like asking me like, well, it looks like you're searching for something, but what are you searching? So what are you searching for then?
I am here to satisfy my curiosity in all things.
But what? What is the thing?
Everything.
What is the main what is the main curiosity that's making you search? Like what?
Oh, I don't think there's a. Is there a main curiosity? Well, I'm definitely obsessed with like the idea of objective truth. I think that's a very interesting concept. I think I want to work on proving the bubbles theory more and more. Even though everyone knows there's bubbles, they'll say it all the time. Remember my favorite Steven moment? He's like, Brittany, let's say there's a thing called a puddle, and I was like, you mean a bubble? And he's like, and like they don't want to admit it, right? Because they know we all think differently. We know we're all experiencing different like realities within life, but it's not magical. It's just perception. And so I think I'm more interested in like what is objective, because it's not about perception at that point. But everything we do is about perception. Me being right is about a perception I have. Him being wrong is a perception I have. It might be wrong. It could be objectively wrong, but it's a perception I have. And so I think my curiosity is like, how close can I get to objective? And then I think people are interesting and like things are interesting. So I feel pretty satisfied. Like I'm in a catch-22 loop. I'll never feed my curiosity enough. So I'll always be curious. So I'll always be interested in existing, because I'll always have things to be curious about.
Yeah.
So I'll never be satisfied. So I'll always be entertained. I'll never be bored for the rest of my life.
I see it different. I think that because I don't believe in objective truth necessarily in the same way that you do, I think that you're chasing something unachievable.
Yeah. I mean, kind of, right? Like wisdom. Like I think I'll chase it for the rest of my life. And that's the irony, is like you can't be wise if you chase wisdom. But then I need to work on myself to be wise. And so I'm chasing it anyways. And like maybe that's wisdom, but I won't know until
But that's just how people should be.
What is should?
Okay. This is something I believe, that there's like an archetype of perfect health. Well, there could be different modes of it. So maybe when I say should, I'm pointing at one archetype of like, but like that's a way to be very healthy. Like that is an archetype of a very functional drive. Like I'm not saying that you're like fitting that archetype. I'm saying that like that self-improvement, trying to be a thing that allows you to constantly fixate on self-improvement is a thing that I would say is good.
Yeah. I mean, I would say it was good, but
yeah,
I don't know if you know, but I'm not big on making prescriptions for people, because I think that's also the route to hell. Is like the road to hell is paved in good intentions. And I think making that prescription is like wrong, which is interesting, because something I have to let go of that I'm working on is when I see someone and I really got to stop living for people's potential. I'm pretty good at it in general, but there's still always a part of me that's like, oh, the potential here. And I'm like, shh, there is no potential. There's no such thing as potential, because if you live for the illusion of the person's potential, like you're not really seeing them or respecting them in the moment that they exist. You're not living in the present. So sometimes when we make prescriptions, we're like denying people where they are presently. And I don't want to fall into that trap either.
I completely wholeheartedly agree with you very much. But you know what? I think that thing that you're talking about holding back, like that's the thing I was talking about wanting to see. I want to see what that looks like. I want to see what happens when you don't hold that back. Like what ugly thing is lurking under there?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll keep sharing that with just my partner, because he can handle it. I unleash that all on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Anything else on your video you want to share with my audience at all? Like, we liked it. Even the people that are like, I don't know if I like Smith, they are like, oh, this video is kind of cool. And I was like, yeah, the video is pretty good.
It's just like a random assortment of things that came up to my mind, like while I was, but there's like a lot more like things or experiences that I could go into, but like one, okay, there's like another one, and then like, I mean, we can like wrap it up, but one that I've had on my mind is, I've been thinking about is girlfriend. And I just want to say, like, he improved her life greatly. Like, it's true. It is true that he has made her life way better. And that is a like, some people, that is a sacrifice that they can take, and some people it's not. And like, she has a, what is, like, exceptional life because of him.
Yeah, I've seen that happen in certain people. It's kind of crazy to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you feel kind of almost bad for like wanting them to get away from this thing that actually improved their life somehow.
I don't know if I want her to get away, you know, like, but I want to say that if I'm gonna talk about their relationship, I just want to have, like, say that. But she one time she was taking, like, antidepressants, and she was taking, like, Adderall type thing, a stimulant, and she mixed up, like, which one was which. And so she was taking, and she wouldn't take, like, the Adderall all the time. It was just, like, for, like, specific things. And she was taking that instead of the antidepressants, like, all of a sudden, without realizing it. And she could never, like, apparently this went on for, like, a week or something. I don't know how long it went on for a while, and she was losing sleep, and she didn't know what was going on. She was freaking out. She was becoming, like, manic and, like, paranoid. And then she was, like, started, like, breaking down and crying, apparently. And that this has been, like, this was a running joke that she could never live down. All of her friends would, like that she is so out to lunch that she would make that mistake. And I never had this thought until a couple of days ago, but how could she have made that mistake? Like, the part of the joke was that they looked so different. One was a capsule, one was a pill. But why was she randomly taking one instead? Like, how did that happen? Like, I feel like maybe that, I don't know. I don't like, I'm afraid to even say that.
Or do you think she did it on? I mean, is she allowed to not experiment? Like, is she just embarrassed that she could have experimented? Is it bad to experiment? Like,
Oh no,
you
I
know
don't
what
think
I mean?
I
Did
don't
you
think
think-
she knew she didn't know what was happening, because she was freaking out, and she thought that, like, she
Okay.
was going crazy because she didn't understand why she wasn't able to sleep. I mean, like, it seems like obvious, like you're, like, a
Wait.
sense, like,
You would think someone gave her the wrong pill?
maybe, like, someone swapped the pill location or something, or I don't know, but
Maybe.
yeah, but I can't know that. But
Yeah.
that thought's bothering me.
See, we can't know that, and maybe she can't know that, but somebody knows that, and that's that objective truth. Whoever has access to that, they know it, and they could not even, maybe that's why people have created a God, is the idea that maybe God knows the objective truth, but, like, I don't believe in God. So I would argue that, like, some lens outside of us that doesn't exist has this objective truth. Somebody knows what happened.
Either
it's
Mr.
not me,
Girl
it's
or
not you.
Destiny knows the objective truth, and one.
It's there somewhere, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It
right.
was a good talk.
Good talk. Yeah, appreciate it. Reach out anytime.
All right, bye.
All right.
Can I imagine just watching a movie with her? Yeah. You would have to sit with that secret, more judgmental, more prescriptive part of her, that, like, maybe more ugly. What does she look like when she's not mirroring, when she's just burdening you with all of her baggage? I could imagine morning coffee with I can imagine morning coffee with anybody. I could imagine having, like, you guys in my chat, you're arguing about who you can imagine having morning. I can imagine having morning coffee with Charles Manson. I can picture what that would be like. It would be a real fucking jolt. It would be fucking crazy. Fucking tell me something about myself. You make me think I'm gonna. Yeah. I don't think I would want to, but I can imagine it. Yeah, me and Brittany have a similar. We have different perspectives, but we have a similar niche of conversation. So yeah, it makes sense. I know a lot of like the words that a lot of her viewers might use. You pray for her partner. She's not I don't think that she's I mean, she might be a handful, but I don't think that she's a shitty partner. You only drink decaf. Manson's in my chat. He says he only drinks decaf, so I'd be the one getting the caffeine. He'd just be I wonder what Charles Manson is like when he's not the Charles Manson that we know. The one carving a swastika on his forehead. The Charles Manson that is got his eyes bugged out, flailing his arms around, going fucking crazy. Like, everything he says sounds like fucking weird, insane slam poetry. What does he sound like when he just woke up in the morning and he needs to get a cup of coffee? Or he only drinks decaf. What does he sound like then? Is he still slam poetry? Because that's all performance. Maybe he carved out whatever part of him was left out of his forehead when he carved a swastika. Oh yeah, Manson is probably a handful. Yeah, probably more than Brittany Simon, that's for sure. Okay, I'm going to be talking about fucking Palestine and Israel on Sunday night at 10 p.m. EST on a panel, and Counterpoints is going to be there. Some other people are going to be there, but I know Counterpoints, I'm pretty sure he's the type that's going to be like, well, the best thing to do is to end it, so we should just like nuke him or something. I don't know how, but he's pro violence to prevent more violence. He's pro the use of the atom bomb in Japan. But I hope that I'm outnumbered. I hope that I'm the only one with the right position so that I look like a fucking genius. But no matter what side you pick, you're wrong. There is no good guy. Hamas is a terrorist organization. And Palestine Gaza is a concentration camp. And Netanyahu is doing what Hitler did before they started gas chambering people, just putting them in concentration camps and neglecting them. Right now they have no electricity and they have no running water, and they are able to just flip that switch whenever they want. It's fucking awful there. They have control over what resources and food they have access to. And both of them think that they have a right to this land, which they don't. They're all fucking humans. And if they can't set aside their differences and live with one another as equals, they just fucking can't do that, so they're gonna do a holy war. And I guess it's okay. You can justify like starting a holy war if you put people in a concentration camp long enough until they commit more and more atrocities, and then they look like horrible people, and they've become truly horrible people. I mean, any support of Hamas, I think people supporting Hamas are disgusting. It's very off-putting. But I also understand why they have become so disgusting. And you cannot ignore the fact that they are living in a concentration camp. So there is no good side. NATO should not be supporting Israel. I think NATO should be evacuating everybody that doesn't want to have a fucking thing to do with this fucking retarded holy war over Holy Land. And just fucking let the people that want to die. I mean, even they don't deserve to die, but... Do I think that Brittany talks too fast or too slow? I think she talks... I don't fucking care if she talks too fast. She talks fine, but she will preface something a little bit too much or conclude a thought with a little bit too much recontextualizing, and that can be a bit disruptive for me thought-wise, but she's a pretty good communicator in general. Okay, see you guys on Sunday night at 10 p.m. EST. Sunday night, 10 p.m. EST. Be there or be square. I see you then. Oh no, Grace Thorpe is calling me. I don't want to do... No. I know you're calling me. Now you're doing it again. I'm going to press this red button here. It says hang up. The whole Brittany Saxon, you asked about the Brittany mentor chat. The whole aspect of mentorship that was going on in that conversation was me desperately wishing that I could be in the role of a woman where, you know, like there is a guy who's older, more experienced, because I wanted to have a new narcissist. And it's really good for me that I didn't have that to grow as a person. Carry the stream, hop on. I'm about to end my stream. Smith, I know you have some more thoughts about Brittany. Let's talk. I don't know what the fuck you think that I think about Brittany. Fine. Call me. But this is gonna be short. I'll call you, okay?
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, Smith.
What do you want? Okay, you think I have more thoughts about Brittany?
Yes. I think you're hiding something.
What? What do you think I'm hiding? Put your camera on or something. No camera? That's fine.
Okay, wait, no, hang on.
No, it's fine.
Let me take my
We'll make this brief.
Okay. Wait. Here we go.
Okay.
No, she doesn't have any thoughts about Brittany.
No, I do. Okay, so
No, talk about his video, his lawn furniture video.
let me say what I wanted to say. Okay, so you said she was mirroring.
Yeah, I think she mirrors a lot. Yeah. I was trying to
Isn't
break
that a
down
way of
what that.
saying?
Isn't that a way of saying?
Isn't that a way of saying that she's fake and manipulative?
It's one way you could say it, but I don't think that because I don't think that she. I mean, she is we're all manipulative. I think she's maybe a little bit more manipulative than most people, but I don't think that. I think that she's mirroring so that she can make other people feel like safe and like it's just how she communicates. I don't think that.
Into her Jewish.
But isn't that what a narcissist does? Is they mirror the other person to make them feel comfortable, and then they ice them out once they are attached.
I mean, that's one tool they can use to do that. Just because you mirror,
so I
doesn't mean you're manipulating.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're a person who mirrors other people, then you're not really your own person. You
right,
are.
That's what
more
I was getting. That's what I was getting at. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I want to see what her own person. I think that she is confusing herself. Even or maybe she isn't, but she won't. She's afraid that what she isn't deserving enough, so she doesn't want to give that. So, yeah.
Smeth, here's my real question: do you think she's annoying?
No.
A little bit, like a scale of 1 to 10, annoying. How annoying would you say she is?
Compared to you, as a 10, maybe 3, maybe 2.
Okay, fine. That means 7. Fine. Okay. My last question. Do you have a pair of roller skates?
No.
Do you want to go to a thrift store and get yourself a pair of roller skates?
We have roller skates.
Do you want to come roller skating with me on the bike path?
On the bike path?
Yeah, you're like, what, guys? Yeah, sometime.
Where is this?
We can go on the bike path here or a path in Boston. But the one here is really nice. And then I can make you soup afterwards. Your thoughts. And stream it, obviously. Please. I don't have any friends, Smeth. I just want somebody to go roller skating with me, and you can be the cameraman. You don't even have to be on stream if you don't want to.
No. If we went, I would be on stream, but I don't think I want to go.
What? It's beautiful weather. Beautiful bike path.
It's going to get colder and colder.
Yeah, but when you're exercising, it's good to be out in the cold air, and we can also
Yeah.
play pickleball and stuff. There's a pickleball court, and I have pickleball paddles. We can stream all of it. Just get outside for a day. I'm not trying to be your girlfriend, okay? I just want a friend.
Smith. Here's a question for you that came from chat. They said that you're doing this I want to be gay, but I can't quite figure out how to do it as a heterosexual strategy.
That's not what I said. I said if I wanted to, I could be
more gay, and
no, I didn't. I said no. I said
porn, get emotionally invested in being.
I said that if I wanted to, I could be.
Oh, but you'd have to invest in it.
Yeah.
You'd have to get into it.
Yeah, I have no reason to want that.
Right, except for virtue signaling or whatever, right? So you can say I'm not homophobic. I do suck occasionally or a lot.
I'm gay. You don't have any investment. I'm gay enough to get points. I'm fine. I don't need
points with who? Gays?
I don't believe that gay means anything. It's just so. I mean, I don't think that it really matters. So, I wouldn't be.
But you get how that's kind of a heterosexual angle for especially for a small guy. Yeah, it's the Woody Allen thing. I am the little Jewish nervous guy.
What are you fucking doing here? Grace wanted to talk to me. What are you even doing here? You. This is why. You're probably you are probably 100% of why I'm probably never gonna go see Grace.
What? Wait.
Yeah.
Why? Why? Because he's gonna ruin everything.
Everything. So everything.
Emotionally.
He will be. You couldn't even have this conversation with me without him interrupting the very first fucking sentence that you did.
Is this home for you? Being like, feeling like you're being like, basically like,
yeah.
Your ear holes.
I think
it's kind of very comfortable for you to feel
I don't like you. I think that you're entertaining.
I will keep you away from him. I'll keep him away from you. We can meet in Boston. There's a place to go roller skating in Boston.
Yeah.
She'll take an RV, a $40,000 RV. What about that? You don't even own a fucking bicycle.
No, he doesn't. Dad.
I know. That's why he's even saying that. I know that I think so. It's how dare
you could be in a Mercedes
Benz
top $140,000.
Okay.
How dare Ben Thorpe coach his daughter to tell me that Brittany Simon is manipulative?
I didn't coach her.
He actually didn't coach me. I just personally don't like her. You know what? She says, not judgmental and I'm not prescriptive. Then she calls everybody she doesn't like a narcissist. I hop in her chat and say, hi, Brittany, and she insta-bans me for no reason. But I'm not judgmental and I don't like prescribing or diagnosing people. She's extremely judgmental. Extremely annoying, extremely prescriptive. She's the worst type of person. Extremely fake, too.
The stereotype of like a Jewish princess. No shade on it, but like they have their ups and like, but she is just the quintessential Jewish American princess, no? Like blah 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 blah. Really like, full of herself, confident. I like them. They have a role. Wants to haggle and negotiate. You know what I mean? About boundaries. What are your thoughts?
I'm not very familiar with all these stereotypes, but
you live in the Boston area. You don't know Jewish American princesses.
I mean, Jews tend to be just better at communicating, in my opinion. In relationships.
Well, they can get a little like you guys call it introverted. It's like endless sort of like, you know what I mean? Like Mr. Girl is like that. He's like a little too
Jewish, a little too Jewish.
It's very Jewish. Right? Introspective, like psychological.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't like
to
I don't like to date fucking retards, okay? I like to have and I've never even dated a Jewish person, but
who said anything about dating?
It seems like kind of like a non sequitur.
I'm talking about relationships.
No, Brittany.
Oh. Would you date Mr.
Would I date Mr. Girl?
Obviously, the
answer is yes. That's actually a good question. No, I don't know. I think I shouldn't. No, that would be bad.
But would you want to?
But would you be intrigued by it? A little bit.
I would be intrigued. What? I would be intrigued because I would want to know what. I would want to know. Yeah, because he's so much older. I would be I would probably be the top, but he would be a power bottom, and he'd be telling me what to do from the bottom, which is what I usually do.
I think he would be the top for sure.
No,
but wouldn't you want to write like instead of the Destiny report, the Mr. Girl report, where it's like 100,000 words because you're just one of these type of guys about how because you just did this whole thing about like someone else's.
What is your angle,
partner,
man?
How you were also a victim of him, and it's like, don't you want to be like the actual partner who is like bitching, not just like the.
I could do that without dating him. I could rate something about him. I guess I always been abusive. To me, is like
he is abusive.
I don't think he's been abusive to me.
Well, but you like being abused.
No, not really. No.
You wouldn't know, right?
If I liked being abused, then I would like you.
But you do like me, but you can't admit it.
I mean, I like you in a very. You're like.
I'm like the dad you wish you had.
No, I don't want to have anything to do with you. I don't want to have anything to do with you as a personal way. I like you as as far as like talking to once in a while and like streaming, because you have a decent mind, but like, you know, I don't want to have anything to do with you. I don't want to go to your house. I don't want to. No, dude.
You find me morally reprehensible.
Not just morally, it just like personally like upsetting.
Repugnant.
Yeah. But I like I like that you can laugh about that though. I do like that. It's very likable.
Well, I have a 100% rate of like that response basically from people. So like,
yeah,
I got to learn to, you know, roll with it, or like my life is not going to be very much fun.
Does that actually not hurt you at all though?
From you?
No, just fact that it's 100%.
You mean it in that kind of affectionate way. I think you're very like, well, whatever. You allow me on your chat. Like I get banned from Brittany Simon's chat just for, you know, whatever. Nothing.
Yeah, well, yeah, I have a different like philosophy on that. Like, people want to ban people. Like, who cares if you're a bad person or whatever? Like, no, if you're putting my chat or my stream or anything like at risk, then you got to go. If you're like endangering,
I want to admit that your chat was at 29. Me and Grace came in, which should have made it 31, but it went down to 12.
Yeah, I noticed that, but then it went back up. Yeah. Well, it's down now too. It's down now too. It was fluctuating. At one point, I think I saw it was like at 40 really briefly.
Can I ask you something? Do you think there's any chance that like if a guy isn't like committed to saying like I like pussy, right? And I mean the whole package, but like he's like, you know, I'm not sure if I like pussy or dick. Like that's a no-go. She's saying like, no, I'm married to that. And I'm not sure what I like. Could you understand someone saying like, that's actually like kind of like a no-go? Or do you think that's homophobic?
Yeah, I think that's just dumb.
Or biphobic?
I just think it's dumb.
Huh?
I just think it's dumb.
It's dumb what?
It's dumb. It's like peanut brain. Because I don't think
it's
I
dumb
don't see
to say like I'm not sure if I like one or the other, because like
no
clearly
because
you can
Brittany's, because I am sure
I'm
I'm sure of what I like, and I'm pretty sure that Brittany's sure of what she likes, and
she likes everything.
Well, I'm sure that she has preferences and stuff. I'm pretty sure that whatever it is, like
she's pansexual. That means I have no.
Look, she's opted into a lot. Yeah, but what the fuck does that mean? I don't agree. Like the pansexual thing, she's opted into a lot of the language that with this
it's
gender language.
You're saying it's fashion.
The gender language confuses these things, in my opinion. Like
it's just fashion.
Kinda.
You're saying it's just fashionable to say.
If you're talking like if you say, well, she was making a distinction, like she would say that she wasn't politically pan, and then she made that distinction how she said that she, but like by technically she is like pan, and so that accurately defines it. She's so obsessed with finding this capital T truth, and so she's like, oh, so I truly am that, and I think that in her pursuit of that truth, she lets herself be co-opted by other people's bias or subjective definitions.
Have you ever heard Mr. Girl's critique of the Destiny Sphere, that it's like this chandelier or this crystal, multifaceted crystal that actually has no grounding in anything, but within itself it can relate and has this like technical vocabulary. Everyone speaks the same language, but it actually isn't grounded in anything. So it's just like this floating mass that like has a certain, like everyone believes in it, but but it isn't actually saying anything. I think that's true. It's just bullshit. Like everyone is referring, like they all use the same vocabulary, but it makes no sense. These people are insane as a whole. They don't offer anything. They talk fast.
Destiny has good points once in a while. He does have that. Yeah, he does. But like
in spite of his basic, I think he's basically a sophist who just likes to talk fast for the sake of hearing his own voice. But sometimes, like in spite of himself, I think that's his Catholic education coming through. He does kind of recognize certain things. But a lot of people in his sphere, like the true Destiny orbiter, is just babbling nonsense. and with
Yeah.
other people who are also battling the same kind of nonsense, which affirms them that they're making sense together, but they're not. People who, like Brittany, I think has like a 5 or 6 different legit diagnoses and is popping pills right and left to like keep her brain from like exploding, and yet she's giving psychological advice. It's like a basic no-go of like therapy. You can't be yourself insane and giving people advice about relationships, for example. Like, you're disqualified.
I don't agree.
You don't have a stream saying like, my bisexual husband, let's talk about it. It's like, gone. You're
I don't agree.
lunatic.
I think that she is very thoughtful. I think that we are all actually probably kind of traumatized, and like do you think that you're a narcissist?
Not at all.
No?
No.
I think that you are.
Yeah, but you said I can take criticism. A narcissist can't take criticism.
No.
I don't have any.
But it's not affecting you, though.
Who is my supply?
Well, you audience, Grace.
Nobody
maybe.
likes me in my audience. Grace, I officially told her that I dislike
Yeah, but
her.
your supply is like
Just a few minutes ago.
you can get supply in different ways. I think that you like I think that you get supply off of like being hated and shit, and it's like you get all that attention. You were saying that you were
that's something else.
I think it is. You were saying that you felt loved by the person that made a documentary about your family. You said that person like actually like their investment into you was like touching in a way.
Yeah, they're homosexually like it's a little bit weird, but like obviously that person is like homoerotically obsessed with me.
Yeah,
that
you can
really,
like, be a narcissist and
that.
also be like obsessed with like the wrong kinds of attention. You're obsessed with the wrong kinds of attention. You are. That's like.
I like attention. Yeah.
But the bad kind.
You would have to say that. But you would have to say that anyone who goes on a stage is a narcissist. That's not true.
Well, narcissistic, but like narcissist is when we're like saying like there's like a problem with you. But I think that there is a problem with you, and you're saying it like people have this problem with you. And I don't think it's helpful for you to say that. But I was just wondering what you think about yourself.
But a narcissist is someone. Okay, right. So I think you may be confusing. Someone who has high self-esteem is not a narcissist, right?
Yeah.
Someone who's extremely confident and self-possessed is not a narcissist. That's actually the opposite. A narcissist is someone who uses a facade of whatever, like, look at me, to cover for a fragile, wounded sort of inner child.
I think
you think that there's like you think there's a fragile, wounded inner child that I'm protecting with a veneer of whatever, look at me.
Yeah.
Really? You don't think I just like myself? I just think I'm an interesting person. I just like myself, but no one else likes me. But I think God loves me very much. So I don't really care. Does that mean I'm a narcissist? Does it mean I'm a devoutly religious person? That's what I am.
God lets you off the hook from self-reflection.
Well, I mean, they nailed Jesus to the cross. I'm not saying that means that if people hate you, you're a good person, but it certainly, it doesn't matter what other people think of you. And he said it's very likely that people will reject you if you speak the truth to them.
Right. So then that negative attention is good for you. It is your supply.
I think that I'm very open to criticism. Like my chat is the most like hater chat.
No, you're not. No. You're open to negativity, but you're not. You're open to being criticized, but you're not open to actually like internalizing and like processing and self-reflecting with criticism.
All right, go ahead. Give me a criticism. And see if I can like roll with it.
Well, no, because that's like. No, like we're not gonna like play this like fucking like masquerade here. That's been my experience with you like so far. Like I was telling you about like boundaries,
not
and
open
you're
to
just adamant that
criticism?
you're adamant that that boundaries are bad and that it's good when people like cross other people's boundaries, and that's fun and sexy. But no, it's bad to
Yes.
cross people's boundaries. It's